What is up, maniacs, and welcome to Broadened Horizon. I am your host, Drake Riggs, here to celebrate this big episode 30. As has become tradition, we have the return of one of the GOATs, the iconic Megumi Fujii, who starts off our lineup of guests. After Fujii, one of Super Ryzen 2's big winners, Patricky Pitbull reflects on his big win over Roberto Satoshi. Following Pitbull is the returning Kanako Murata, who gets back in action at UFC Vegas 80 against Finesse Demopoulos. Closing out the show is none other than the new holder of one of MMA's all-time great upsets, Chihiro Suzuki, who talks about his massive knockout of Patricky Pitbull. Thanks as always to our great guests for chatting, and thanks to everyone who supports the show, and a special thanks to those who submitted questions for the end. Whether you've been watching on MMAmania.com, YouTube, or listening on Spotify, don't forget to hit like and share if you enjoy. It wouldn't be episode 30 without the GOAT herself, Megumi Fujii. Well, Megumi, my goodness, always so great getting to chat with you and see you. Great to see you again. Just how are you doing? How's the family? How is life right now?
藤めぐさん、いつも藤めぐさんとインタビューするときは、非常に楽しみで、インタビューが非常に内容がいいので、いつも楽しみにしてるんですが、最近、調子いかがでしょう？家族はいかがでしょ
調子は変わらず元気ですね。今、娘が夏休みなので、毎日家で大変です。大騒ぎしています。
う？Yeah, so nothing has changed. Everything is good as usual. The daughter is on summer break right now, so it's been very chaotic at home. Every day has been very interesting to say the least.
How so? How do you mean? Just like a lot of activities going on, or what's kind of the crazy part about it?
家で大暴れしているというのは具体的にはどういったことをしてるんですか？
プールで飛び込んだりとか、鬼滅ごっこをして、戦ってきたりとか、女の子なんですけど、結構男の子みたいな感じで、わんぱくですね。
Yeah, so obviously she's a girl, but she's quite a tomboy, and just jumping in pools and making a mess, playing Demon Slayer together, kind of attacking people, pretending she's a Demon Slayer, and she's very active, considering she's a girl.
All right, awesome. I mean, hey, it doesn't hurt to be active, so that's very cool. And I mean, how are things going with her in jiu-jitsu and whatnot, right? I know she was doing some of the competitions last time we talked, and I think I've seen you kind of share some more on Instagram since then. But how is kind of her, MMA journey, I guess, been so far, the combat stuff that she's done in the meantime with the updates there?
でも非常に行動力があって、すごく体を動かすのが好きだということなんですが、さくちゃんのその充実とか、今、いろいろとやっていると思うんですが、そちらはいかがでしょう？たまに SNS で、動画など上げていたりしますが、さくちゃんのこの。
そうですね。練習は、楽しみながらしっかりやってますかね。最近だと5月に試合があったんですけど、なんて言うんでしょうかね。1年生なんですけど、2年生の男の子を相手に、綺麗に一本勝ちを取ったんですけど、その腕十字の入り方とかが、私に似ているっていうのは、結構みんなに言われたりしてますかね。で、今は11月が全国大会があるので、それに向けて練習を頑張ってます。
Yeah, it seems like she's been enjoying practicing, been in the gym all day, and she just competed in May, and she won by submission against. She's in first grade right now, but she got the submission over a second grade boy, and many people were saying that her setup for that armbar looked exactly like my setup. She's enjoying what she does, and she's getting there. Her next competition will be in November, and this will be for the national competition. So she's looking forward for that one, and she's training hard for the nationals.
Wow. Okay, that's very cool. Following in mom's footsteps a little bit. That's amazing. I love to hear that, and I'm happy that she's doing well too, and enjoying it obviously enough to want to continue. But I'm curious from your perspective, Megumi, like, does it get easier to watch her as she continues to do it and, stick with this? Or are you still nervous like every time you watch her compete and all of that stuff?
本当に自分の母親のこの足跡をそのまま辿ってるっていうのは非常に第三者として見ていて非常に感慨深いものがあるんですが、藤麦さんとしては、実際にサクシャンが試合するとき、やっぱり心配ですか？要は彼女がスキルをつけていくことによってより安心して見られるようになりますか？それとも技術の向上とともに心配事が増えていくのか？やはり試合を見るときの親としての感情は変わらないですか？
そうですね。今、顔への打撃が禁止なので、体へのパンチやキックだけなので、そういう部分では KO とかがないので、比較的安心して見れるはずなんですけど、やっぱりあれですね、ちょっとセコンドとなると、一人だとちょっと緊張して、なかなか難しいので、結構、旦那の方がしっかりとアドバイスをしている感じにはなってますね。旦那の方は落ち着いて、緊張しながらも、アドバイスできるみたいで、ちょっと私は心臓がバクバクになってしまいます。ただ、オフェンスだけじゃなくて、やはり怪我をしないっていうためには、やはりディフェンス力を上げていかなきゃいけないと思うので、今、そういう部分ではディフェンス力が結構高いというか、身についていってるので、それに関しては安心して見れるのは見れていますかね。
So, the rules that she's currently doing right now, they don't allow any strikes to the face, just to the body. So in that sense, I mean, there are no knockouts. There's no possibilities for a knockout ending. So in that case, it's safe and it's supposed to be comfortable to watch. But for me, I just still get nervous. And obviously, when I'm cornering, I can't do it alone because I get too nervous. My heart's racing, and I cannot stay calm. So a lot of the cornering is done by my husband. He is a lot more calmer, and he can give the right advice. So I'm just sitting there in a corner, just being a nervous mother. But I also think that to avoid injuries, the technical skills of defense, the defensive skills are definitely necessary to avoid injuries. And we have been working on that for quite some time now. And I do feel that her defensive skills have gotten better. So in that sense, I do feel a lot more comfortable watching her compete right now.
All right, very cool. Yeah, sounds like you and Shinji have a good balance there in terms of, keeping everything where it needs to be in terms of the corner work. So that's very awesome. But Megumi, my goodness, I know you said that, everything's kind of the same and life goes on as is, which is great. But there has been something new that's happened since we last caught up, right? You're involved with Shudo Colors now, right? This has started. And so I wanted to ask you about this. And we have an event this weekend, so it's perfect timing. But I got to know, how did this start in the first place, and how important was it for you to be a part of something like this? And just kind of tell me the story behind getting the ball rolling here, I guess, on Shudo Colors.
藤めさん、前話した時から何も変わってないとおっしゃったんです。その中で唯一変わったとしたら、シュートのカラーズの大会に、深く携わってるようでして、また次も大会あるんですけども、ちょっとそれについてお話ししていいですか？そもそもそのシュートのカラーズ、どういういきさつで立ち上がった、どのようにして藤めぐさんが関わるようになったんでしょうか？
そうですね。もともとシュートの、シュートというか、アマチュアのシュートの女子の、強化委員というか、そっちの方には、引退してからもすぐ入っていたんですね。なので、アマチュアシュートの女子強化委員ということで、名前は連ねてたんですけれども、なかなかそこで自分が役立てることもなかったんですけれども、昨今ちょっとずつ女子の選手、プロ選手になりたいっていうような選手が、少しずつ増えていく中で、関東とか、東京とかっていうのは本当に大会っていうのが、ね、頻繁に開催されているんですけれども、アマチュア、シュートですかね。地方大会あるじゃないですか、アマチュアシュートって。全国各地で、 アマチュアシュートが開催されているんですけれども、そこから女子の選手が、プロに向かってつながっていくっていうのが今までなくて、それがどうやってうまくつなげていけたらいいのかなっていうのも前から思っていて、そこ、全国のアマチュアシュートの場所からプロの選手へつなげていけば、またその女子の選手が戦える場所だったりとか、いい選手を発掘できたりとかできるんじゃないかなっていうのを、ちょっと頭の中でずっとイメージはしていたんですけれども、それがたまたま、自分の中で実行は移せてはなかったんですが、去年、一緒にそういう女子の興行を、やっていかないかっていう話をいただいたときに、自分がずっと思っていたそのアマチュアシュートの選手、各地方で頑張っている選手たちを、さらに表に出せれる場所につなげていけれないかなっていうので、自分でできることがあればっていうので、賛同させてもらいました。ただ女子シュートっていうのももともとね、十何年前に G シュートっていうのがあったので、初めて立ち上げるっていうわけではないとは思うんですけれども、新たにちょっと心機一転スタートするっていうことで、G シュートっていう形ではなくて、カラーズっていう形で立ち上げようっていうことになりました。ちょっとすいません。うまくまとまってないですね。わかりづらいですかね。
So I've actually been a part of the board member for women's amateur shuto for quite some time. Ever since I retired, I've been a board member for amateur shuto women's. But there wasn't much for me to do over there. I mean, all these years I've been part of the board member, but really nothing has really happened. But in the recent days, the population of the competition, the competitors, the women's competitors have been rising slightly, and obviously there's a lot of events, amateur events, pro events going on in the Tokyo, Kanto regions, in the big cities. But when you go to the outside of the cities, the outskirts, the countrysides, the suburbs, it's really hard for any kind of competitor to get experience for competition. Well, Shuto covers the entire nation. They have events and competitions constantly going on throughout the nation. So I've always thought that I could use that, Shuto should use that network throughout the nation to provide more opportunities and give exposure to those fighters outside who are not living in the big cities. We need to give the equal amount of opportunities to those who are struggling and put their passion and desire into this sport. We got to give the same opportunity to those people. So I've always thought that we can definitely use that Shuto network to do something, to provide an opportunity for the competitors. So the Shuto network has dots everywhere, right? They've got dots everywhere throughout the nation. I felt that it was my job to connect those dots. And I've always thought about how we could utilize, these competitors that don't have the opportunity. I was always thinking about this, but here we are. Shuto has brought up the idea about the professional women's league, and this is where I could use my my connections and my title as being the women's and amateur Shudo board member. And this is where I could give opportunity to all those women's competitors who are sitting there without the opportunity. To give you a little more information, there has been a concept in organizations called G Shuto that's been around for about 10 years now. So this isn't Shuto's first time doing a girls only event. The concept was always there. We had the G Shuto going on. It was just inactive for 10 years. But, at this time, we decided to relaunch. So we needed to give a different kick to it. So we decided to name it as, colors instead of sticking with the G Shuto idea. But that's kind of how it all came together.
All right, very cool. And yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. Of course, I'm all about spotlighting those ladies, so I'm glad to see it unfold this way. And I got to ask, what did you think of just how the last event went? Because I only caught kind of the end of it, but, some good results there. And just curious, how you think everything went and how excited you are for the next one here this weekend.
それを踏まえた上で前回の大会初めての大会を行った後なんですが、そのイベントの大会の感想、やってみた感想と、あと次の大会について、どのようなものが見どころなのか、どういうものに期待しているのか、聞かせていただけますでしょうか。
そうですね。前回の大会は、17年ぶりの女子シュートリスタートっていうことで、すごく記念すべき大会であったと思います。マッチメイク的にもベテランの選手と若手の選手、あと国際戦含めて、いろんな形で可能性のある戦いを選手の皆さんが見せてくださったので、すごく、いい興行ではあったと思いますし、次につながるような布石はできたと思うんですが、今回第2回、大会が、第2回って言っていいのかな、コラボレーションという形になるんですよ。トラオカラーズっていう、トラオさんっていうのが地方でもう20年ぐらい、シュートの興行を続けられているんですけれども、そことコラボして、トラオカラーズっていう形で、2回目の大会。シュートでは地方での女子興行が多分初だと思うんですよ。これもすごく大きな試みだと思うんですね。あの、やはり地方でくすぶっている選手っていうのはどうしてもいて、選手になりたい、試合をしてみたいけれども場所がない。場所があってアマチュアシュートにエントリーしても、エントリーしても相手がいないような状況っていうのはすごくあって、そういう子たちが試合したくてもできなくて、消えていってしまうのがすごく悲しくて、なんて言うんでしょう。試合のチャンスをどんどん与えてあげたいっていうの、プラス、そのアマチュアから、プロ興行をつなげることによって、プロを目指す選手が出てくる。イコールプロ選手になって活躍してくれたりとか、することによってやっぱり女子の層が、日本の層がどんどん上がっていって、そういう中からまた世界に、で戦える選手っていうのが増えてくると思うので、そういう部分では、この第2回目というか、トラオカラーズって地方大会っていうのは、やっぱ関東でやる以上にすごく大きな意味合いがあるというか、普段やっぱり生で女子の戦いを見たことがないような方たちもそこでやっぱり見てもらえるし、熱も伝わるし、アマチュアの試合も何試合かあるんですけれども、そういう子たちが間近でプロの選手の戦いを見て、自分たちもそうなりたいっていう、憧れだったりとか夢を持てるような、大会になるのではないかなと思います。
So the first event, the last event was the first women's only Shuto event in 17 years. So it was a historical restart, and I think overall it was a good event. We had some veterans, we had some prospects, we had great matchmakings, which resulted in great fights. And I think it was definitely an event that left a positive note for future events, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Now, this upcoming event this weekend is more of collaborated event with the promoter Torao. So Shuto Torao is a different promoter that's been promoting professional Shuto events for the past 20 years outside of Tokyo. So we'll be collaborating the Shuto colors concept with the Torao promoter. So technically it's not the second colors event, but let's just call it the second colors event. It's complicated, but it is what it is. So this will be done in the Torao event. And actually, this will be the first women's only event or Shuto women's only event held outside of the Tokyo region. Oh. So there's a great meaning to this because all the women's only Shuto fights has been held in Tokyo, and this will be the first one outside of Tokyo. So just by that, there's a great meaning to it, and I'm very excited that we will have women's only professional fight outside of Tokyo because it gives that much opportunities for the people in that region to be introduced to women's only events. Outside of the big cities, there are girls who want to get themselves involved, but they just don't have the opportunity to compete. So let's say a girl is interested in signing up with a Shudo gym. She signs up for an amateur competition event, but she has no opponent. So the lack of opportunities are diminishing the opportunities for these girls living outside of the big cities. So for that, just watching that, it has been very it's been really sad for me to watch these girls who want to do this but are forced to give up because of the lack of opportunities. So that's one thing that I've been kind of trying to work with, because as long as we can tell these girls that there are options outside of amateur, there is another platform for you to compete after amateurs. We want to show that there's an after career. You can become a professional women's fighter, and then you will have these opportunities. So showing that and bringing the event outside of Tokyo, that itself is, I think it's very important, just for them to understand that there is something to do after amateur. There is a road that leads to being a professional. So being able to introduce all that will eventually lead to the increase of competition population. So, and that means this upcoming event is very important, and I'm very excited to be able to put this event, first women's only Shuto event outside of Tokyo.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so cool, Megumi. I think this is amazing. You know, how you're talking about this and, you know, what you're doing with it. I think you're the perfect person for this, of course, just considering your history and everything. So I love it. I think this is amazing. And yeah, awesome, totally awesome opportunities that are being put out there like this. And of course, we'll circle back to that event here coming up this weekend. But I want to ask you kind of about some specifics of the last one. I think the star, you could kind of say in a way, of course, from the last one was Ayaka Watanabe, who, of course, won the main event. And she's gotten off to a really great start in her career so far, looking fantastic. I just want to get your thoughts on what you think of her and how she's doing and kind of the potential future she can have just as a young fighter continuing to grow, because she's gotten off to a really good start.
本当に藤めぐさんのやってることは素晴らしいことだと思いますし、本当にこの日本の女子格に関してのその先のことだったり、いろんな組織編成だったりっていうものをすごく考えて動いてらっしゃるなというふうに思います。で、その中で、その新しい世代という中で、渡辺彩香選手のことについてちょっと藤めぐ選手さんはどういうふうに思うのか聞きたいんですけれども、彼女は前回勝ってすごいパフォーマンス、を見せて、これから楽しみになるような選手だと思うんですが、藤めぐさんから見た、渡辺彩香選手、どういった選手でしょうか？
そうですね。まずはキャラクターがいいというか、すごく周りを元気にさせてくれるような雰囲気があるので、なんか、気になっちゃう、選手ですよね。やっぱそういうのってすごく、やっぱり、プロとして大切な部分だなっていうのがあるので、そういうのをもともと持ち合わせている中で、柔道がバックボーンだったと思うんですけれども、どちらかっていうとテイクダウンして決めてっていうようなスタイルで戦っていくのかと思っていたら、もう黒部戦にしてもサラミ戦にしても、どちらも打撃で KO をしているので、そこがまた面白いし、逆にあれだけ打撃で倒せて、柔道もしていたので、テイクダウンもグラウンドもできるっていうことなので、ちょっとなかなか穴が見つかりづらいっていうか、対戦する選手としては、すごくやりづらい相手なのかなっていう印象があります。あとは階級的に、マトムでやるのか、その上でやるのか、どちらかわからないんですけれども、結構体格もいいので、アトムじゃなくてその上でやると、なんかまた面白いっていうか、対戦相手も増えて、見応えのあるカードが増えるんじゃないのかなと思って、ちょっとこれからが楽しみですね。
So definitely, she definitely has character, right? She has that characteristic where she gives positive vibes to the people surrounding her. She makes everybody feel good and happy and joyful. And she just has that natural instinct where like you kind of care for her. You kind of want to keep an eye out for her, which is something that any professional athlete should have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely a gift that she has, how I feel. And she also, as far as I know, she has a judo background. So I thought that she was a typical grappler who'd want to take it to the ground and grapple and show her, do her thing. But, what's surprising is that she both dominated Kuroba and Sarami with striking.
Mm-hmm.
And she utilized her striking in a way which surprised everybody. So she has a judo solid background, but she likes to throw punches, and she can apparently finish with those. So, she can do it all. And I think it's a very she's a serious threat to any opponent. And I think that's a very interesting thing. And one other thing is about her weight class. She's pretty big for her weight class right now. Um, but I do feel that if she picks something that's bigger, she's a big girl. She's a bigger girl in that division. So I think there would be a lot more exciting and possible matchups that would open up if she decides to step up another weight class, but I'm not quite sure. But yeah, she's one of those fighters who opens up a lot of doors and opportunities for women's MMA.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing, where her career goes, because I think, again, she's off to a great start. So it's looking pretty bright right now. But I really want to get your thoughts, Megumi, on, kind of just what you think when you see some of the older fighters or the veterans like still competing. Of course, we had Hisei Watanabe, the legend, and Yasuko Tamada fighting each other on the card. I mean, Tamada, she's almost 60. She's older than you, Megumi, and she's still fighting. Like, what do you think when you see these these older legends out there still doing it?
本当に渡辺選手は、藤本さんの言うように、次の試合もどんどん見たくなるような選手だと思うんですが、新しい選手たちが育っていっている反面、まだベテランのレジェンドファイターも現役で戦ってます。この間だと、渡辺久選手が、玉田選手と、試合をやったりしてるんですけれども、玉田選手に関しては、藤本さんよりも年上で、ということで、そういったレジェンドたちがまだ現役でやってる、みんなの前で、若い子たちと同じ大会戦ってるっていうことに対して、藤本さんどう思いますか？
そうですね。あれ、玉田さんは年齢非公開だったと思うんですが。
Hey, we've all thought it was the grand rule that we don't talk about Tamada-san's age.
Right.
And nobody should know. Nobody should know her real age.
It's a mystery.
玉田さん、玉田さんにはいつも年齢を言った方が、絶対もっともっといろんな人が、いろんな思いを共感してくれて、応援してくれるんだから、もう、年いっちゃいなよっていつも言ってるんですけど、やっぱりそこは女性なので、なかなか自分の口からはそういう公開はできないということなんですけど、でも7個上なので、56?6 ですかね。それで試合が、戦いができるっていうのはもう本当尊敬でしかないのもあるんですけれど、彼女はまあ試合だけじゃなくて練習も本当に頑張って継続して続けているので、まあやりとりもあって、昨日ももうちょうどやりとりをしたんですけど、まあどことこが痛いとかっていうのはあるんですが、なんかやっぱりそれ以上にあの選手と試合したいな、これができるようになりたいなっていう、今でも本当に格闘技を始めた頃の気持ちのままで、彼女は過ごしてるので、本当に純粋な思いで格闘技が好きで頑張っているから、本当に、やれるだけ後悔なくやりきってほしいなと思うし、まあちょっと羨ましい気持ちもありますけどね、そういう思いがずっと続いてるっていうのは、私は途中でその気持ちが切れてしまったので引退してしまったんですけど、まあ、戦いたいっていう気持ちが切れてしまって引退したけど、今でもそういう思いを戦い続けれているっていうのは、やはり、夢や希望をね、与えれる人だと思うので、輝いていて、羨ましいなと思います。
So yeah, back to the Tamada-san's age. I've always told her that she should reveal her age, because if she reveals her age, that's just so inspiring. Nobody is doing what she's doing, and what she's. I've been trying to convince her to just say her real age, but she's she's a woman, she's shy, and she doesn't want to give up her age, exact age. But anyways, she's 7 years above me, so she'll be 56 years old. She's 56 and she's still competing like that, and she's still fighting like that. And there's nothing but respect for her. And about her is that she just doesn't fight. She trains hard too. She trains every day, and that's why she fights. Actually, I talked to her yesterday, And we were talking about, like, oh, this part of the body hurts, this hurts, that hurts, getting old, blah blah blah. But what's amazing is that she's still ambitious. She's still hungry to fight. She wants to compete. She was talking about, oh, who I want to fight. Maybe this is good, this is bad. So she's just purely in love with the sport, and she's following her heart and what she does. So in a way, I'm very jealous that she still has that fire and love to compete, because I've lost that. That's why I retired. I lost that fire, and I still have a passion, but I lost the fire for me to compete, and that's why I retired. So for me, I think for her to continue to compete and for her to continually pursue her love for the sport and continue to inspire people and continue to shine under those lights in the ring, I've got nothing but respect, and I'm extremely jealous that she still has that mindset and mentality and the love for the sport and competition.
Yeah, it's very, very admirable, and it's like you can't not respect that. So it's been quite a year, just for the veterans sticking around and continuing to do their thing. And like this wasn't in Shuto either, Megumi, but I don't know. Did you see Satoko Shinashi also made a comeback, and she got a win against Reina Kobayashi in Deep in February? Did you see this as well? Like all the veterans are still going.
本当に今、ベテランとかの話をしてるとあれなんです。これちょっとシュートではないんですけれども、シナシ選手が、違う団体で復帰して、で、小林玲奈選手相手に、勝ったんですけども、こうやってベテラン勢が戻ってきて、まだ活躍を続けているっていうことに対してすごいなと思いますし、藤めぐ選手は、シナシ選手の試合ご存知でしたか？見られましたか？
あ、はい、見ました、見ました。
どう思われましたか？
いや、なんて言うんですかね。やっぱ試合をすることはもちろんすごいんですけど、試合ってやろうと思えば誰でもできることだとは思うんですけれど、やっぱ試合をするっていう、エネルギーっていうか、精神力が本当にすごいなっていうのと、そこでまたなおかつ、勝つっていうところがね、もうちょっと、本当今、同世代というか、で戦ってきた選手たちが、今もなおリングで、いや、ケージで戦ってるっていうのはもうちょっと、自分の次元を超えてるっていうか、自分の中にはないもの、自分にはできないことをみんなやっているので、本当に、人として強いっていうか、尊敬しますよね。はい。すごいことだと思います。
Yes, I did watch that fight. I watched the fight, and for me, it's just, booking yourself a fight is easy. You can get a fight. If I wanted to fight, I can go and fight. But that's not the part that's important. The fact that they book themselves a fight, they train for it, they go in there with all this. There's so much energy and mentality that you need to build up to get ready for a fight. So just fighting is fine, but being able to go in there and go through the entire process of fight camp and go in there and actually get the win at this age is something, it's unbelievable for me. And for me to think that the fighters, the comrades that that we've all competed back in the day together, the people who competed with me back in the day who are still competing, is something I cannot understand. It's just something, they're doing something that's completely out of my league because I couldn't do it. I chose not to do it. So what they're doing right now is, for me, is something unimaginable because I can't do it. I chose not to do it. So, I've got nothing but respect and wow, right? And I think they're just super tough human beings in general. And I've got nothing but respect for them.
Well, Megumi, you are still as humble as ever because I don't quite agree with you, but I understand where you're coming from. So I totally get it there. But yeah, it's quite something to see for sure. And man, like I never want to say never at this point, right? Especially when it comes to the women. So I want to get your thoughts on this too. But like, do you think that we will ever see, atom weight on, the quote unquote, the big stage in America or the UFC? Like, it feels like, it's taken a long time, obviously, because it hasn't happened yet. But like I said, I never want to say never. So do you think like it'll ever happen?
藤めぐさんにちょっと聞きたい。まあ本当に否定はしたくないんですが、その、世界でアトム級、まあ世界の頂上で、世界のレベルでアトム級っていう階級が紹介されることになると思いますか？いずれ、いつか。まあ今、現時点では、まあ本当にそもそも UFC では女子がやらないっていうところからここまで来ました。で、軽い階級が人気ないっていう中でも、男子でもバンタムフライやってますと。なので、こう何が起こるかわからないんですが、まあ女子でアトム級が、こう、ちゃんとした階級として見れる日は来ると思いますか？
そうですね。まあ私の時代も、そのアメリカで、その 52?52 はストロ
ストロー。
ーですか？なかったんですよ。ストローでさえなくて、ベラトールのトーナメント出場するときも、もう 56.7 のトーナメントやるっていうような感じだったんです。でもまあそれでもいいからもう最後チャレンジしたいなと思って、その階級でもいいんでやりますって言ったんですけど、そしたら急にというか、その後52のトーナメントに、あの、変わりますっていうことになったので、ないものが出来上がることって可能性ってゼロではないと思うんですね。まあ、ただそのためにはのんびり待ってるだけじゃね、出来上がらないとは思うので、まあ、今いる選手たちが持ったレベルを上げていってアピールしていったりとか、あとはね、アトムだとやっぱりアジア勢、日本の選手も食い込んでいけると思うので、やっぱりどんどん日本の女子の層を上げていって、強さを証明していきながら、まあ、日本国内だけじゃなくて海外でも戦うことによって、その強さを証明していったりとか、そういうものが、形として、あの、ちゃんと、アピールしていければ、いつかはできるんじゃないかなっていう思ってます。やっぱそこ想像しないとね、なかなか実現に至らないと思うので、もうないから諦めてたらね、もうそれで終わっちゃうと思うので、自分がやってやるぞ、その解決作ってやるぞ、みたいな気持ちでやっていけれれば、それは絶対思いが伝わると思います。
So even back in my days, there wasn't even a strawweight division. When I was competing, there wasn't an atomite division. There wasn't even a 52 strawweight division. When I was given an offer at 56.7, a flyweight tournament, that was the offer that was given. That was the lowest offer that I was given, and I took it because there wasn't any other opportunity. Now, eventually, that flyweight tournament ended up becoming a strawweight tournament, which worked out better for me. So I guess my point is that there's always a possibility. You can never count anything out of anything. But you can't just sit around because it's not going to be catered towards you. So I think what the current women, the athletes, the fighters should do is that they need to make noise, and they need to be the ones to get recognized so that you can raise the possibilities of something happening, so you get better chances of what you want to happen. So if the item weight division is set, obviously it's going to open up a whole new opportunities for Asian women because it fits our division. So I think if you need to be able to imagine, to see what you want in order to realize it. And I hope these fighters or these athletes, they imagine themselves recognizing this. Not somebody else is going to make it happen. I hope they get the feeling that I am going to make this happen. I am going to be the one to introduce atom weight to the world. So you can't cut yourself out. There's always a possibility, but it's not going to happen to you if you just sit around and wait. You have to continue to work for it. And if you can imagine it, you can realize it. And that's, I think, there's always hope if you put your mindset with the right mindset, if you put the passion and dedication to it, anything can be realized.
Gosh, Megumi, I think you summed that up amazingly, perfectly, beautifully. You're making me inspired. I want to go and do something, make something happen now. My goodness, you just gotta, I think you nailed that for sure. So Could talk to you forever, Megumi. So I don't want to keep you too much longer, but it's always so much fun. So last thing I'll leave you with here is just I'm going to put you in the promoter chair. All right, I want you to give some hype here, give the fans, sell us a little bit. Tell us what you're most looking forward to this weekend at the Shudo event. What is kind of the thing? Why should people watch, Megumi? I want to sell us a little bit here. Promote us before we go.
藤目さん、すみません。なんかもう随分時間も過ぎてしまって、藤目さんと話してて、本当に、いろいろとためになる話を聞かれますし、今の藤目さんの返答で自分自身もすごく刺激受けて、やる気になってきたんで、これ最後の質問ですが、もう、藤目さん、プロモーターとして、今週のシュートカラーズで何を期待したらいいのか、宣伝してください。
そうです。なんか、まあ、ちょっとわかんないんですけど、なんか、わからないって言い方変なんですけど、もう本当に私、まあ、格闘技が好きで、その中でも、やっぱり女子格闘技がすごく大好きなんですね。まあ、現役の時からそうなんですけど、なので自分が戦いながら、自分以外の選手ももっとフューチャーされてほしいなっていう居場所、女子の場所を作りたくてずっと現役の時から戦い続けてきて、まあ、引退してからは、来人で解説させていただくことによって、まあ、女子の選手を伝えていく、知らない方たちに女子のことを伝えていくという役割をいただいて、今は今度はもっと、なんて言うんだろう、地方の、本当に、まだ芽も出てないような選手たちの居場所を作るっていうところのお手伝いをさせてもらっているような状況ではあるんですけれども、なんだろう。やっぱり世界で戦っている選手、強い選手ももちろん素晴らしいけど、でも、やっぱり若い選手、これからの選手の戦いも本当にそれぞれの意地が出ていたりとか、本当に思いがあって戦ってるので、そういうものを今回の広島のトラオカラーズでも、見てくださるお客さんだったり、現地に見てくださるお客さんだったり、ライブ放送とかで見てくださるお客さんに、そういう思いが、選手一人一人の思いが伝わるような興行にしたいなと思います。そして女子格闘技の良さだったり、素晴らしさ、強さ、可愛さ、美しさ、いろんなものが入り混じっていると思うんですが、それが本当に見ている方たちに伝わって、で、選手の力になるようなものにしていきたいなと思います。
So, I've always loved MMA. I've always loved women's MMA. And I've always competed. I've always I've worked my entire career to provide a solid platform for women to be able to compete in Japan. And after I've finished fighting, I've found myself as a commentator in Ryzen, showing the appeal, explaining the appeal of women's MMA to the casual fans. And that was my role in Ryzen for a while. Now I'm building a platform for competitors outside of the big cities. And this is something that I do right now, and this is something that's going to be it's one of the grand sums of what I've been doing this weekend. Bringing big names and watching big names fight, that's always good. It's great. It's always fun. But the no-named fighters, they fight just as hard, and their fights are just as entertaining as well. And the great thing about it is that all these fighters, everybody has a reason on why they fight. They've trained hard. Everybody has their own story. And for me, I want more people to know their stories. And that's what's going to be. That's what you're going to get for this event this weekend. Like every fighters, you don't have a big name, but they're all going to come in there and fight for something that they love, and you're going to get to see their story. So, I hope that everybody gets to see that, and the more people that watch, the more people that support what they do, that helps the sport. And along with that, I really want to promote the side of, only the good parts that you get from women's MMA. The looks, the characteristics, the characters, all the good parts that you can only get from women's only show, you'll get all that from this weekend. So I hope that everybody supports, tunes in, you get, and just see the greatness and great appeals of women's MMA.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what it's there for. So sorry to put you on the spot there, Megumi, but I think you nailed it again. So looking forward to it, of course, and yeah. So I wish you the best with everything, and we can leave it off there. But my goodness, Megumi, it is always such a pleasure. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time. Just one of my favorite humans on the planet. An inspiration, a hero, all those things. They are you. So I'm always very humbled when I get to chat with you. So I appreciate it. And I'm glad that you're still doing well with everything else outside of fighting and whatnot. And I'm always wishing you the best. So just thank you so much again for hanging out and chatting for a little bit. And of course, we'll catch up again in the future. But until then, just wishing you the best and a big arigato gozaimashita.
藤村さん、本当にお時間いただいてありがとうございました。藤めぐさんと話すときは本当にいろいろなことを教わって、本当に楽しい時間を過ごしてもらいますので、ついて長くなっちゃうんですけれども、本当に藤めぐさんのやってること、これからやろうとしてることがすごく伝わってますし、すごく応援してますので、今週末も頑張っていただいて、これからも、ぜひお話を聞かせてください。本当に今日はありがとうございました。
こちらこそありがとうございました。こうやって、柏木さんも日本じゃないですよね、今。日本ですか？
今日本ですよ。はい、日本です。
今日本ですか？なんかまた違うところからなのかなと思ったりとかして、この、こんな携帯一つで、いろんな国の、アメリカに住んでいる、日本に住んでいてっていうのが全部つながってね、こうやって格闘技の話ができるっていうのはすごく楽しいし、もう本当昔では考えられないことではあるんですけれど、こうやって楽しい時間を過ごさせていただいて、私もすごく楽しかったです。
Drake, I think it's amazing that we live in a current day where we can all connect through a phone and have a discussion about fights and MMA. You're in the States, we're in Japan. We live in a wonderful world, and I myself had great fun talking to you, Drake, and thank you so much for your time. And we love to do it again.
Next up, we welcome the former Bellator lightweight champion, Patricky Pitbull. Well, good to see you. Congrats on the recent win, Patricky. Great stuff there, man. But first of all, just how are you doing on this Wednesday? How are things right now?
Thank you so much, my friend. I'm good. I keep training. Don't have an injury. Just keep focusing the tournament and keep training for the next fight.
Absolutely. Never stops, right? Always improving.
Never stop.
Can't stop, won't stop, man. And so it's really cool, of course, to see you, return to Japan for the fight. And I mean, aside from the win, just how was it going back there and, getting to spend some time in the country again?
Como foi estar lá no Japão e passar tempo no país novamente?
It was good. I love Japan and I love the fans there. It's unbelievable. So every time when I go to there is different. This time I enjoy more, and it was good to make us some business, some contacts. So it's perfect.
Yeah, man. Always working in every way, right? Not just in the cage and training, but for the business stuff too, right?
Yeah, sometimes you need to make a business.
Absolutely, man. And it's really cool, Patricky, when you look at your career and the places you fought. You've actually fought in a lot of different countries. So I gotta wonder, do you have a favorite location that you've fought in your career?
Você lutou em vários países. Tem algum que é o seu favorito, assim, que você lutou na sua carreira?
Japan for me it's perfect. I love there. I love the energy there. I love the fans. I love everything. Don't like too much the food, but now I knew the barbecue Japanese, so it's good. I love California also. Love California. It's a perfect place. So California and Japan for me is good.
Yeah, definitely some good spots, man. And there's just so much history with Japan, right? A lot of people, the fighters who I know have fought in the arena, they say they can just feel it when you walk in there. Is that something you can attest to as well?
I remember a lot of
Os lutadores, quando lutam no Japão, dizem que tem um sentimento diferente, energia diferente. Você sentiu isso também?
Yes, yes, it's a lot of history about war, about fighters like Minotauro, Maurício Shogun, Vanderlei Silva, Emilian Encofedo. So it's unbelievable. It's different. I don't know how do you spell this, but it's very very different. You stop and think about a lot of history about fighters, about big wars. The Japanese they hurt the Japanese hurt is different. It's different around the world.
For sure, man. And yeah, you've added your name to the list now in the history books by having fought there a couple of times. So it's pretty sweet, right?
Yes, I like to fight there because the Japanese guys, como é que se diz? Preservam o seu nome por muito tempo na história, Matheus.
I like to fight there because the Japanese fans, they preserve the fighter's name for a long time in history. They have a lot of respect and they always remind you.
Yes, absolutely. Very respectful crowd, and it's always very nice to have in the sport. So, just as for the fight itself, Patricky, like I said, a great performance, a great win over, the champ in Ryzen, the lightweight champ. I'm just curious, like, obviously it came together very last minute, so I don't know how much you got to prepare for him. I'm sure that you were, of course, aware of him since he's been kind of, doing his thing as well. But I guess, did it go as you expected it to, just with the short amount of time you had to get ready for him?
A luta foi como você esperava, assim, não sei exatamente o tempo que você teve para se preparar para ele, foi tudo de última hora, mas dado o tempo que você teve para se preparar, a luta correu como você gostaria, como você esperava?
Yes, I have 4 or 5 days. I don't know exactly, but I'm training very hard, brother. I'm training everything. I'm training very hard for a long time. I'm waiting for everybody. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I tell all time. Doesn't matter who put in front of me. I will break. I will broke. I will finish. I will destroy. Doesn't matter who did next. I'm waiting all time.
And man, I gotta ask, like, did that win feel even better, getting a finish that way and over a champion after? I feel like a lot of people counted you out after, your last fight. So I'm curious for you, like, how motivating that was going into this one, and then just the feeling of, satisfaction getting the win the way you did.
Como foi que você se sentiu tendo essa vitória, a sua motivação? Assim, muita gente achava que você não teria chance de vencer essa, né? Tava ali lhe colocando fora.
Yeah, I don't care about these guys. I'm focused on my victory. I'm trying very hard to do my best. So this guy all time talk shit. This guy all time change the mind. The before this last fight, I can't kick. I can't make a jiu-jitsu. I have a big injury, so maybe nobody know what's happened. So that's why, because the people talk about this, talk a little bit shit. So I don't care. I don't care. I'm here to broke my opponent, go hard and finish.
Absolutely, man. And yeah, I mean, obviously you were supposed to fight AJ before he had his issues, with what the staph infection, I think it was what he had, was pretty gross looking. But you still hope to fight him at some point?
Você espera lutar contra a AJ em algum ponto? Assim, ele, né, teve uma doença aí, que o negócio parece que ficou bem feio. Mas você espera que essa luta saia algum dia?
Yes, of course. I like the idea. Jay McKee is a tough opponent. He called to me for 2 years, something like that, and I'm ready. But first, I need to finish the tournament
Yes.
and beat the next opponent, the Russian guy, and keep strong, and let's do it. I'm ready. Doesn't matter. I told you, doesn't matter who the next. I just wanna fight, and I say to Bellator I'm ready for October, but the card is full.
Right.
So
One
I
after
don't
that.
have big injury. I don't have big injury. I'm ready. I keep training, so ready, ready.
Of course, man. Of course. Yeah. AJ has to wait his turn now. So maybe after you get through the tournament there. But as for the Satoshi fight again, though, Patricky, I want to ask you about this, man, because you got off, one of your patented flying knees in the fight. And I wanted to ask you about the flying knee specifically because I think people will kind of forget maybe, but you have 3 flying knee wins on your record. So I wanted to ask you, like, do you practice those or is it just kind of come naturally to you, man?
Now it's natural, but before I train a lot. But now it's natural for me because I train too much, and now for me, when I saw the little bit movement, can I can I do the fly knee? I do. So it was good. Was perfect.
Yeah.
Well, no, not perfect, but little bit.
Makes for a
Was
great
close.
picture.
Yeah, yes. To take a picture was good.
Yeah, man, you can't beat the flying knees, so you definitely got that one down, man. So it's very cool every time you pull it off. But I wanted to ask real quick to get an update on Patricio Patricky. I know, unfortunately, he didn't get the win there, but I know that he just had back surgery, right? So I wanted to see like how's he doing? Is everything okay with him?
Yes, yes, he's good. The series was the neck,
Oh,
so
okay.
yes, he's very sensible. Como é
Fala
que
em
se diz?
português que é outra.
Sensible,
Sensible.
sensible. He's very sensible, but he's okay. He recovered very fast. He back to the gym. He keep training he start training the legs. So he's very well.
All right. Good to hear. Yeah. Still working even after surgery. You guys are just built different.
Yes, yes. He's crazy. The doctor say, "Hey, calm down, little bit, step by step."
Oh, that's funny.
After surgery, like 3 hours, he did a shadow box.
Wow. That's why he's a champ, right?
Yes, he tried to see if feel like a pen, like a something.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad to hear that he's doing better and able to move around and do that stuff. So that's good.
Hey, he told me after surgery when he come to the room, the first words was, "I will beat Sergio Perez and Suzuki."
Oh man, just always ready to go. That's awesome. So very cool.
He said also, Patrick here. Oh, the next world champion. He win the 1 million. Let's go.
Yeah, coming for the money, coming for the belt, man. And yeah, you
Yeah,
mentioned Chablis
was
next.
the first. Yes, it was the first words. His mind don't stop think about the fight.
There you go. Always moving. But yeah, man, as you mentioned, Chablis next. You know who the opponent is, just don't know when the fight will be happening. But, hopefully, maybe before the end of the year, like you were saying, you're ready to go. No problems there. So just kind of when it can be put together. But have you been impressed with him? Like, what do you make of Chablis and, the wins he's got so far and how you kind of match up with him in your next fight?
Como você sabe quem é seu adversário, mas não sabe a data, né? Como é que você acha que o seu jogo casa com o de Chablis?
Chablis is a very tough opponent. He's a tough fighter. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to say something,
Mhm.
but it's tough. I just wanna keep training hard, believe in myself, believe in my job, and believe in my hands, maybe my fly knee.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough opponent. I just believe in my win and keep training hard. He's a, you know, a lot of Russian. He's a tough opponent.
Mhm.
He's complete fighter, stand up, strike. I think he's more strike that wrestling.
Yeah.
But I saw some fights. He did a very good strategy. He did a wrestling and what his opponent on the cage, on the ground, control the fighter. So he's a smart fighter. He's a smart fighter. But I believe he is more strike that wrestling.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for everything. I will train for everything. I keep training for everything. So I'm ready. Doesn't matter who the next opponent. Just wanna win this tournament. That's I think about all time. I need beat my opponent, my next opponent. Keep training hard, keep focused. Beat the next guy at the final. So win the tournament. And let's see what is happening after. But that's my mind. That's my focus right now.
Yeah, man. And I'm sure that like at this point in your career, Patricky, it's like you've seen it all, right? Like nothing the opponents can bring really surprises you anymore, right? You've kind of, fought against every type of fighter at this point, right?
Você basicamente já viu tudo na sua carreira, né? Assim, todo tipo de estilo de lutador. Não tem mais nada que pode lhe surpreender, né?
No, no. I just was one guy, one crazy guy, but I never inside Bellator don't have this guy like a crazy fighter or phenomenal fighter. So only it's all the same. You need to train hard because your next opponent is the striking wrestler or jiu-jitsu guy. Don't have a lot of way to beat the opponent. Don't have a lot of strategy to win the fight. Just keep focused, train hard. That's it. Don't have a magic.
Mm-hmm.
Only one way. Train hard, keep training, focus, discipline.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, just gotta stay focused and task at hand, right? The thing right in front of you. So always one step at a time. But I did want to get your thoughts too, Patricky. We know what the other matchup is, of course, in the tournament. Primus versus Usman. They'll be fighting for the title on the other side, and you'll fight the winner of that one, when you get through Chablis. But just curious, how do you think that one will play out, and who you think will win that fight?
I think Usman will win this fight because he's a smart fighter. He has a very good strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he will kick some time, move a little bit, land some punch, and make his rest. That's I think he will do. Primus is he don't move very well. He kick very well, he punch very well, has a good jiu-jitsu, he's a strong man. And he go to the like a tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he don't smart guy. He don't smart fighter. Usman he's a smart fighter.
Mm-hmm.
He move very well. He kick very well. He has a very good conditioning. So I believe he will.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be a fun one to see how it plays out. And then, the finals from there for everybody. But, man, just speaking of that, Patricky, like, I'm curious for you, man, like, I don't want to see you retire anytime soon, but I'm curious like how much longer you want to fight for, because like winning the tournament and going out like with the $1 million and the title, like that's a dream, right? That's a perfect way to be like, all right, see you guys. I did it, but I don't know. Like, do you think about that at all? Where are we in terms of like how much longer you want to fight for, man?
Yes, I think about this all day, brother. It's I don't know, man. It's hard. This job is very hard,
Mm,
and the injury, the mind, the body is very tough. I don't know. Let's see what's happened. But if it has a good money, we try a little bit more.
right.
But I don't know. It's hard. It's perfect if I win the tournament and finish my career. I think it's gonna be wonderful.
Yeah.
But I don't know. When you take the belt and take 1 million, a lot of things change.
Right.
It's too much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everybody's trying to get at you. Yeah.
Yes. Don't stop, man. Please make more money. I don't know. It's crazy. But let's see. Let's think about the next fight
Hmm.
and focus the next fight and beat the next opponent.
Yeah. We'll worry about it when we get there, right? So,
Yeah.
but all right, man. Well, until then, Patricky, I appreciate the time, man, and congrats again on the win. I'm looking forward to the next one, of course, and always fun watching your career and the journey you've been on. So I'm very glad and happy for you that you've gotten to experience all these cool things, man. So just wishing you the best always, and again, thanks so much for the time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, just the best of luck with everything going forward, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, brother. See you soon. And let's go.
She's back. It's Kanako Murata. Kanako, my goodness, it is so amazing to see you. It feels like so long since we've talked, and I mean, this is great timing because I gotta wish you the happiest of birthdays. Looks like you had a great time, so happy birthday. How have you been? How are things? I'm so excited to get to chat again and catch up. It's been like over a year.
もう彼と最後に話してから1年以上経ってると思いますけども、まあ、この前も誕生日で楽しい思いした感じなのが SNS にも載ってましたけども、どうですか、ここ1年ぐらいどんな感じの人生を送ってましたかって。
そう、試合、ラストファイトで肘怪我して、で、復帰、タイにトレーニングに行って、で、シュウさんと復帰の話をした次の日に歯4本折ってバットな1年でした。
Well, I injured my left elbow on the last fight, and after that recovery, me and Mizuki went to Bangtao to train over there in Thailand. And the day after I spoke with my manager, Shu, about my next fight, I got injured and I got kicked in the face and lost 4 teeth. So I had to go through that injury process and recovery process. And now finally I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I saw you posted, the pictures of the teeth and looked very brutal. Like this was from a kick you just said. Like what exactly happened there? That teeth stuff, that never fun, but yeah, looked pretty bad from what you shared online.
SNS とかでこう写真最近も載っけたけども、まあ、歯が取れちゃってて、あれで実際にどういった状況でこうああいう事故が起きたのか教えていただけますかって。
ライトなスパーリング。スパーリングをする前に、ジョージが、ライトにやってね、みたいな感じで、膝は、パッドつけてないとダメだし、バックハンドとかも危ないからやめてね、スラムとかもやめてね、みたいなことを言って始めるんですけど、それで、ちっちゃい男の人と、どこの人か知らないんですけど、ちっちゃい男の人とやったら、自分もウィニータックルに入ったら、膝パッドつけてない膝を合わせられて、それでマウスピースがポーン飛んでいって、 で、自分の歯を確認したら、もうすごいところにあって、びっくりしました。
Well, this was a warm up before the sparring. So the head coach George Hickman told all the fighters make sure you do a light sparring. Like make sure you put the knee pads on and no like backhand blows, no slam, none of that. So I was doing a warm up round with this lighter weight male fighter. And when I shot in, he just kneed me in the face and he didn't even have knee pads on. So next thing I realized, my mouthpiece went out and I felt that 4 teeth in the front went into the another directions.
Ow. Yeah, that does not sound very fun. I'm sorry that happened to you. So it's like how long did it take you to be able to, were they like for getting back to training, and like I'm sure that was something you had to take care of immediately, right? When you have something going on with your mouth and the teeth loss and bleeding, like how was it, I guess, after that and getting back to normal, I guess?
それ怪我して、じゃあどれぐらいの期間こう治療があって、ね、ちゃんとこうやれるよう、まあ対人までできるようになってて、どういった感じのどれぐらいの期間かかったかなって。
そこから4ヶ月ぐらいは、その歯のグラグラが収まらなくて、で、スパーリングはできずだったんですけど、ようやく、その4ヶ月あたりを過ぎてから、その歯医者が作ったマウスピースと、で、ヘッドギアとしてたら、スパーリングしていいよって言われて、で、そこからやれるようになりました。
Well, after that incident, it took about 4 months of stabilizing my teeth, meaning my teeth was all unstable. So I stabilized the teeth in 4 months. And after that, the doctor gave me a special mouthpiece. And the doctor told me to put a headgear on. Then you can start finally sparring a little bit. So that was the process of recovery.
Wow, that is quite something, and it probably wasn't fun to go through. I'm sure that you're really happy to be past it, and yeah, I'm sure you'll never forget to wear your mouthpiece now, right?
だけど、あの時、マウスピースはしてたんだもんね。要は、
はい
ちゃんと。
マウスピース、はい。
Yeah, but that time I was wearing mouthpiece,
Oh, right. Yeah, he just caught you with the knee, so darn things, they just need to be stronger then, I guess, but it is what it is. Moved past it, but like I said, with the birthday, Kanako, again, happy birthday. What did you do to celebrate? This was the big 30. I gotta know, like, what were the things that you got to do this year?
どうですかね、30歳という節目の誕生日では何をやってこうお祝いしたいんですかって。
ジムのみんなにお祝いしてもらいました。ボスを含め。
Well, the team members of the gym celebrated me, and of course, my best friend, we call her the boss, which is Mizuki, who also celebrated with us.
All right, very cool. How did Mizuki get this nickname?
That's because she's the boss over Naoki.
Oh, right. All right, she has kind of seniority, right? She's
I kept calling her boss.
All right, very cool. Makes sense. Well, that's nice of them to have celebrated. Yeah, so save it for the comeback here to really get the party on, right? Kanako, can't wait to see it. But it's been so long, man. Just been deprived of watching you fight. I know you know that you're one of my favorite fighters, Kanako, so I'm really excited for you to get back in there. But just going back to the last fight, like, it's been a while now, so I'm sure that you've kind of taken a lot away from, of course, it not just being a loss, you had the injury, like you said there, so all the recovery that went into it, but just for the fight itself against Jandaroba, like, what were your biggest takeaways from that one, especially having had so much time now? I'm sure you've thought about it a lot and maybe watched it a couple times, but what did you learn the most, I guess, from your last fight?
どうですかね、最後のジャンジローバと試合した時から、結構怪我があったりとかそういう理由もあってこう感覚が空いちゃったんだけども、その間に今試合を振り返ってみると、あの試合で何か学んだことみたいなのはありますか？
あの試合とか、あと練習とかも含め、相手のやりたいことに付き合わないこと。付き合わない方が、付き合わず自分のやりたいことをやることが一番だなって思いました。
Well, this is what I learned from not only that fight, from the training since then, is that I decided to quit going along with what my opponent wants to do.
Mhm.
I just want to push and just force something I want to do, just to push my game plan and just not deal with that what she wants to do. So I think that's what I have to do that next fight.
Okay, certainly, of course. Yeah, dictate the action kind of is what you're thinking there. And just as for like the elbow recovery and, the injury there, pretty gnarly stuff, right? Looked like from the x-ray and whatnot, dislocation. I don't remember exactly what the specific, name of the injury was you had there, but how long did that take, to kind of get back to normal?
ジャンジローバーの時も怪我したじゃないですか、最後。脱臼みたいなで。
はい。
で、あれ自体のリカバリーってのはどれぐらいかかったのかな、その左肘。
左肘を手術してから、なんか、腕立てするとか、そういうのも痛くて。で、シュウさんに、ラスベガスで、治療してやってみれば、トレーニングしてやってみればっていう話を聞いてから、ラスベガスに行って、で、ラスベガスで、なんだっけ、何でしたっけ、治療の名前。
PRP とかのショットでしょ？
ER、はい。を受けて、結構何回も受けて、で、少しずつ良くなっていった感じです。
Well, first of all, after the fight, I had to go through a surgery on my left elbow, and after that, after the surgery, even though I did some push-ups and I still felt the pain, so my manager suggested me to go to the Vegas and do PRP shots and do the rehab at UFC PI, which I did. So I had more than a couple PRP shots and went through those rehab there, and it just got better.
Okay, all right. Very very good. Of course, getting that taken care of. And the PI, of course, state-of-the-art stuff. But what would you say was kind of worse to deal with, Kanako, between the teeth and the elbow? Like, I'm sure neither was great, but which was worse, I suppose?
どちらかが最悪を選ぶとしたら、歯と肘、どっちの方が最悪の怪我でしたか、自分にとっては。
Maybe about the same.
同じ？
あんな怪我をして、試合なら私も練習でって考えたらあれなんですけど、よくよく考えたら試合中怪我するのもちょっとやばいかなと思いました。
Well, it's hard to answer because first I thought, well, if I get injured in fight, then that's okay. But I got big injury in practice, which is not that cool. Then I realized I'm a professional, so I shouldn't be injured in a fight. So I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Fair enough. That's a good way to look at it, though. So, I'm curious though, Kanako. Like, I know we've talked about like the mental aspects of fighting before in the past, but I'm curious. We've never really talked about it with you going through injury stuff, right? Because this was pretty big ones, both of them for you. So I'm curious, like when you went back into training, like for the first time, then maybe the first week or two after, let's say the elbow specifically here, were you like nervous at all about using it and punching and kind of getting into grappling stuff with it? Like, how were you mentally just kind of getting back to readjusting, being fully healthy again after, kind of a surgery and traumatic brief change, where you're recovering and whatnot?
やっぱり手術をして、ね、それからやっぱり練習に復帰したときは、やっぱりその違和感だとか、いろんなそういったものがあったと思うんだけども、メンタル的にそうやって怪我を乗り越えて練習を再開した時の初めの1週間とか2週間っていうのは、メンタル面ではどういったことを一番気にしてますか？
肘怪我して、で、日本に帰ってきて、で、もう次のために頑張らなきゃと思って、肘がすっごい腫れてたんですけど、マンションの中の階段をバーって走ってたら、もう肘のところがすっごい腫れ上がってきて、で、それから病院に行ったんですけど、そしたら先生がなんかこれやったって 聞いてきて、で、トレーニングとかしてないよねって言って、いや、トレーニングはしてないですって言ったんですけど、多分バレてたと思うんですけど、なんか、はい。こう、やりすぎも良くなく、ちょっと休みながらやった方がいいよっていうことを身をもって教えられた感じがしました。
Well, this is what happened after the surgery on my left elbow. I was told by a doctor to not do any training, but mentally I wanted to do better on the next fight already. So I was just so eager to train. So on my where I live is condominium. There's a stairs, so I started running up and down the stairs. Then my left elbow was swollen so huge. I had to go back to the doctor, and the doctor asked me, "Did you train?" And I actually lied, and I said, "No, I didn't." But then I realized that maybe, I have to know when to stop and when to like pull off and stuff like that. And that's very important. And that's what I learned from that experience.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that too, Kanako. I know how much of a competitor you are. Like, I was assuming that you probably wanted to, just because of the loss aspect, right? Forget about the injury stuff. I know that you're just ultra super competitive, so you probably wanted to get back in there as soon as possible. So, like, how hard was it kind of being forced to wait, right? Like, I'm sure that you wanted to get back in there sooner, but just kind of how difficult was it for you being like, just waiting and waiting, and now finally it's coming up where you're actually going to get back in there again?
どうかね、それってやっぱりさ、かなこちゃんは、他のトップアスリートと同じで、試合になってもすぐまた試合したいっていうか、そういう気持ちが強くて、特に負けちゃった後だったら早く取り返さなくちゃいけないって気持ちがあって、そうやって練習していくのはわかるんだけども、逆にそういう気持ちがあるのに、こうやって怪我が重なっちゃってさ、結構試合間隔が空いちゃったじゃない。だからやりたいんだけど、やれないって、うじうじしてるその時のこの気持ちってどういう感じでしたかね。
わあ、でも、一回、歯をやるまで、もうすごい、なんか、気まで頑張ろうみたいな感じでやってたんですけど、歯を打った時は、さすがに、もう、ちょっと、なんか、もう、終わりかもしれないみたいなのを思って、でも、迷惑かけてる人たちとか、必死に直してくれようとする先生とか、あと、やっぱ、近くで頑張ってるボスとか、あと練習仲間とか見て、で、もう一回頑張ろうと思って、やってきたんですけど、やってきました。
Well, after the elbow injury, I was mentally up, ready to go. But after the injury on my teeth, I almost felt like, oh, maybe I'm done with this sport. I thought that was the hard injury for me. But after watching people who's around me who's been very supportive of myself, and also a doctor who's trying to really fix my teeth, and he was really trying hard, and also my best friend boss who's been training, and I've been watching her training, so it really the whole thing just motivated me back into the training mode.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I can imagine having kind of the support system around you, and then the friends like, the boss, as you mentioned there. Like, how cool is it, and is it special at all for you to get to return kind of together, right? Like, you guys are coming back, practically at the same exact time here. Is that a cool and special thing for you?
どうですかね。やっぱり同じ階級でやってるそのボスとね、水木ちゃんと一緒に日本に帰ってきて、同じような時期でずっと練習してとかあって、やっぱりそういった練習相手がいるのってやっぱりいいですかねって、どういうところがいいですか。
ボスは同じタイプではなく、打撃とか、寝技も上手なんですけど、違ったタイプの人を、教えるのもすごく上手で、すごいたくさんアドバイスくれたりとかして、で、自分はレスリングの知ってる限りのことをボスに教えたり、そういう意見の交換というか、指導し合えるのがすごいいいなと思います。
Well, as you know, the boss is not the same type as myself, and she's more of a striker and BJJ submitting guy, girl. And she's really good at teaching. So she teaches me a lot of techniques and giving suggestions. In return, of course, her weakness is wrestling, and I'm trying to teach her everything I know about the wrestling. So we are good, very good friends who's like exchanging opinions and techniques. So it's actually perfect for us.
Totally. You guys got the little yin and the yang going on there, right? The perfect contrast blending together. So it is definitely quite a pair, I would say. And we'll see how Vanessa Demopoulos can handle it, right? She'll be the first opponent welcoming you back here. I'm sure you've been keeping up with things while you've been, on the sidelines, Kanako. But just what are your thoughts on her as your first opponent coming back? And just what do you think of this matchup here as, we get ready for your return?
そうやってね、違ったことをお互いに補える練習相手がいるのは本当にすごくいいことだと思うんですけども、さあ、そういった状況の中で次の相手のバネッサですけども、典型的なああいうね、BJJ タイプの選手ですけども、彼女はどうかね、かなこちゃんから見た印象とか、どういう感じっていうのを感じてますか？
そう、試合を見ていて、寝技が得意な選手なんだなって思いました。
Well, by looking at her past fights, I mean, first impression, I got obviously that she's a grappler. She's very good at the BJJ on the ground skill.
Definitely. She's been showing off the armbar in a couple of her wins there. So, of course, something to avoid. But I'm sure, like, for you, is it one of those things where you're glad to test yourself in those areas? I mean, of course, your grappling is phenomenal as well. But in matchups like these with someone who kind of what their best thing is, goes with your strength in a way, right? Like the jiu-jitsu off bottom is something she threatens with a lot. Do you like to test yourself there? Or in this matchup, will you want to, maybe try and strike for a little bit, without giving away the game plan too much? Of course, you want to mix in the wrestling. But I guess how do you kind of approach somebody who has that style that in theory can counter your wrestling with submission attempts, right? Kind of similar to Jandaroba a little bit, but, obviously not quite the same.
彼女はやっぱり相手バネッサだけども、明らかにグラップラーなわけで、アームバーでも何回か勝ったりしてて、要は下からの攻撃が結構うまいっていう、印象があると思うんですけども、そうなるとちょっと前回のジャンジローバとちょっと似てるっていうことがあって、で、そうなると、今これからもちろん自分のゲームプランだから明かせなかったら話せなくてもいいんだけども、相手の例えばガードに入って大丈夫だっていうことを試してみたいのか、それともそういうことには一切付き合わず、ちょっとストライキングで頑張ってみたいだとか、なんかどういうふうに考えてますかねって、語れるだけの部分でいいんですけど。
でも、コーチとか、練習、下から仕掛けてくれる人、練習仲間とか、その話では、付き合いつつも付き合わないみたいな戦い方をしていこうみたいな感じで今練習してます。
Well, I do train with many coaches and training partner who's really good at attacking off the back, like a BJJ coach. And the general discussion among with these people are that I am not gonna get into her game plans, and I have to dictate the pace, but I'm gonna pretend like I'm kind of getting along with going along with what she wants to do, but I'm not kind of stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, definitely sounds like a good approach. And I think I might have talked to Mizuki about this as well. I don't quite remember, but I'm curious, Kanako, like with the time off that you've had, some people will say, oh, you can use it as a positive where like it gave you this extra time, well, of course you're recovering, but it gave you some extra time to focus on honing your skills in certain ways that maybe you weren't allowed to fully healthy because you're always trying to get into fights and you're always in fight camp, so you're not able to specifically work on things maybe the same way, you know what I'm saying? So I'm curious, like, do you feel like the time away has helped make you better maybe in a way you wouldn't have thought, because typically you're always training for a certain opponent and fight camps and that kind of thing?
だいたいもしも怪我とかがなかったら、常に練習してファイトキャンプやって試合っていう感じで、どっちかというと試合に向けての練習がやっぱり多かったと思うんだけども、逆にこうやって怪我をして感覚が空いたことによって、そういったすぐに試合をしなくちゃいけないっていう状況の中で練習することによって、そうやって自分の 弱点と気がついたりとか、ね、そういろいろなことがあったとは思うんですけども、そういうふうにこう感覚が空いて間にちょっと違ったものに気がついたとか、そういうものありますかね。
は、まあ、その、怪我とかあって、まあ、自分のできる範囲なんですけど、苦手な、自分が苦手なことにも、より取り組もうっていう気持ちになって、練習してきましたというか、してます。
Well, yes, because that's a good question because I'm not preparing for fight. So it gave me more freedom and time to really explore something I'm not really good at. So I have been working on my weakness and I'm trying to, make myself better on that department as well. So that's what I've been doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, you mentioned Bang Tao kind of earlier here in the conversation. I'm curious, like, what was it like getting to train over there, and what brought you there in the first place, Kanako? I don't know if you've done any training for there for this fight camp, but I'm curious just how your experience was and has been getting to train over there, and what led you there in the first place.
どうですかねさっきちょっとバングタオでその怪我した話してますけど、まずバングタオになんで練習に行ってみようかと思ったのと、それでバングタオで練習してみて、チームとかその環境としてはどうでしたか。
ジョージ・ヒックマンが、レスリングとか、MMA を教えてくれるっていう風に聞いて、バンタオに行ったんですけど、結果なんか出稽古の人たちが多くて、で、歯を折られたのもどっかから来てる男の人だったんですけど、でも、バンタオの人とか、バンタオのコーチとか、みんななんか真剣になって教えてくれたり、で、ジョージ・ヒックマンも真剣になってレスリングを教えてくれたりで、すごいいい自分だなって思いました。日本、バンタオ一つで結構いろんなトレーニングもできるし、MMA もできるし、レスリングもできるし、ムエタイとか打撃の練習もできるし、すごい集中してできるから、すごいいいところだなって思いました。
Well, I chose Bang Tao is because George Hickman is a good coach that is good at teaching more like a wrestling and boxing, kind of MMA. So I went there, and as a team, all their coaches are very good, and it's a team with a all big facility where I can train, MMA, wrestling, Muay Thai, everything in one place. So as a team, I think that team is very, very good. But there are a lot of visiting fighters as well. And the person who cracked my teeth, one of those visitors. So I wish they should kind of try to be more strict about the rules for the visitors. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah. Especially, I mean, after having that incident, I understand that thought process. But it has really become kind of a hotspot, over in Asia for a lot of very talented fighters and, even UFC champions going in and out of there. I mean, even the champion of your division, I don't know when the last time Wei Li was there, if she was training too much for her current fight camp coming up, her fight next weekend. But did you cross paths at all with the champ? Did you see Zhang Weili while you were there, Kanako?
ですね、バンタに行っていろんなそうやってさっき言ったようにビジターが出稽古の人が多くて、でそうするといろんなチャンピオンが来たりとか、ジャン・ウェイリーとか来たりとかしてたけども、どうですかね、ジャン・ウェイリーに限らず、誰かそのトップクラスの選手となんかあそこで会ったりとか交わったりできました。
そこに常にいるローマ、
ルクムビーン。
ちょっと組み合ったりとかはしました。
Well, John Whaley wasn't there while I was there, but Loma Lukmumi, she's always there. So I was able to, little sparring with her. And so, yeah, I mean, I got to experience with the fighters there.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, plenty of good people there, of course. And yourself adding to that mix, Kanako. But just cannot wait to see you back. So glad to see that you are coming back. I was worried there for a little bit, and you said that you were thinking about not coming back. Like, I mean, what went through your head when that process was? It was just kind of the injuries and the delay of things. Like it felt like it wasn't going your way. I'm kind of curious now. What first went through your head? I guess when you're like, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to keep fighting.
どうですかね、ちょっと一瞬怪我だったから自分終わったかもしれないって思ったってさっき言ったんですけども、どうかね、その時にその気持ちをちょっと持続しちゃって、いや、もうちょっと試合できないかもしれないってそういう感じだったのか、それともそれはすぐにもうなくなって、 これからもやれるって感じになりましたかね。
その時はもう、その試合はもう、このままだとずっとできないなと思ったりもしたんですけど、まあ、割うんまあ、でも入院して固定が1ヶ月ちょい、1ヶ月半ぐらいあって、でもその固定してる時点で結構もうまたその頑張ろうと思えたんで、はい、自分は多分 MMA が好きだなと思いました。
Well, when I got the injury on my teeth, that thought crossed my mind, maybe I won't be able to fight anymore for a long, long time. But once I got into the stage of stabilizing my teeth, my drive of training and fighting again quickly came back. So I realized that I really love the sport of MMA.
Yeah, of course, and we'd love to see you compete in it, Kanako. Like, I don't even know what would you do if you couldn't fight. Like, that's something I know that you don't even think about it. But like, what would you do to stay busy? I guess while you couldn't even train. Like, I can't imagine you doing anything else.
そうですかね、かなこちゃんを見ると印象としては、もういつも練習してというか、レスリングしてっていう印象なんだけど、もしもだよ、もしも MMA をできなくなっちゃって、他にやることなかったら何やってるんだろうねって。
そう食べてばかりだと思います。
I think I was just going to keep eating.
Oh, hey, yeah, that's always a good choice. But don't have to stick to just that. Getting back to the fighting, Kanako. Cannot wait to see it. So excited. I'm so happy, that you're healthy and able to come back. And again, another happy birthday to you. And I just appreciate you catching up, Kanako. It is always amazing getting to chat with you. So I appreciate it so much. And I wish you the best of luck with everything. We can wrap it up there. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And again, thank you so much. A big arigato gozaimasu, and best of luck with everything. Cannot wait. We'll be watching, and of course, we'll catch up again in the future.
ありがとうございます。インタビューしてくれて。
Thank you very much for interviewing me.
Of course, Kanako. Anytime. And last but not least, it is the man with the upset of the year, Chihiro Suzuki. All right, Chihiro, man, it's great to see you, and I just got to get right to it. I mean, congratulations on the amazing victory. A massive upset, an all-timer against Pitbull in the last one, man. I just got to know, like, how have things been since then? Like, how was the feeling of getting that win? Just how are you doing, man? I'm sure you've been over the moon since that one.
鈴木選手、本日お時間いただいてありがとうございます。まずはですね、担当直入に本当におめでとうございます。もう今世紀最大のアップセットで素晴らしい劇的な勝利でした。もう当然、あの時の興奮から、時間が経っているんですが、その間、試合の後から鈴木選手は、今までどのようにして過ごしてきましたか、お聞かせください。
試合終わった後は、応援してくれたファンの方と、スポンサーしてくれてる方々に挨拶をして、で、あとはもうそのまま引き続きずっと練習してますね。
So, yeah, ever since the fight, I've kind of been just, going around thanking my fans and my sponsors and people who support me. And other than that, I've just been back in the gym, nothing special.
All right, awesome, man. I mean, you didn't do anything special to celebrate. I mean, you were obviously hyped up after the win, hard not to be, but come on, you had to do something crazy to celebrate, right?
紹介的なものは、したんですか？劇的な勝利の後だったんで、何か祝勝会的なものは
祝勝会は、まだ大きいのはしてないですけど、仲間と、僕の YouTube メンバーとか学生時代の友達と、お祝いはしましたね。特に大人数とかそういうのはまだやってないですね。
Yeah, we haven't really had a big, official celebration, but, we had some small parties with close friends, but, that's about it. Nothing super fancy, nothing big.
All right, man. Hey, I mean, if that's all you need, then that's all you need. So good to hear, man. And I mean, just a very kind of crazy situation, right? How the fight came together just on a couple of days' notice, man. So I'm curious, like, what was kind of your reaction when Ryzen came to you with the offer, like, hey, we want you to fight Pitbull? Like, did you have to think about it at all, or were you just right away ready to go?
まあ、本当にすごくユニークなオファーで、すごい数字しかないようなオファーだったと思うんですけれども、あの試合のオファーを受けたときに、心境だったり、そこをちょっと話していただけますか。
もうすぐやりたくて、相手がどうとかじゃなくて、とにかく戦いたかったんですよね。クレベル選手に負けて、ずっと悔しい、もう本当地獄みたいな毎日が続いてたんで、だからそれを払拭するにはやっぱ勝つこと。だから、じゃあ相手が誰とかじゃなくて、自分がとにかく戦いたかったっていう気持ちなんで、とにかく試合がしたかったです。
So I was at a point where the opponent really didn't matter. I was just wanting to fight. I was looking to fight. I lost to Clever without being able to do anything. And, I was very disappointed in myself. And I wanted to redeem myself. I couldn't end like that. And I was stuck in a position where I couldn't stand myself losing like that. So I was at a point where I was going to take any fight. Didn't matter who it was. So whatever offer was put in front of me, I was going to take it. So, it just happened at the time. It happened to be Pitbull.
Yeah, pretty pretty good option to have there, and it worked out quite nicely, obviously. But man, I'm glad you kind of mentioned the Kleber fight, because I was very kind of fascinated by that. And like, you go from that fight, the title fight, he misses weight, can't become champion, only you can then, but he wins, so it's a no contest. Very like weird situation. You never want that to happen in title fights. Missing weight just in general is not a fun thing for anybody. But I was curious, like, when you get back in there so quickly and beat a guy, and the type of guy you beat in Pitbull, like we said, huge upset, all that. I'm sure it still sucks, obviously, to have that outcome against Kleber in your title shot, but does that win how much does it wipe it away, right? Like, I'm sure it helps a lot, and it kind of takes your mind off of what happened recently because you overcame it with such a great win, but like, how much does it wipe away kind of that feeling from the loss?
鈴木選手、ライジンでのタイトルマッチ、クレベル選手が、軽量オーバーして剥奪されて、すごい、特殊な条件下での鈴木選手のタイトルマッチという風になったんですが、それもそういう、ああいう形で終わってしまった。そんな中、パトリッシオ、ピットブル選手に劇的な勝ち方をしました。これは素晴らしい結果なんですが、パトリッシオに勝ったことが、クレベルに負けたことに対したそこのモヤモヤをどれだけ埋めてくれましたか？それともまだこれとこれは全く別話なのか、クレベル選手に負けてモヤモヤしたときにもっとすごいパトリッシオ選手っていうのに勝ちました。その鈴木選手の心境っていうのは、クレベルの負けっていうのはこのパトリッシオの勝利で拭うことはできたんですか？
それはまた別で、クレベル選手に負けたのは、やっぱいつか近い将来やり返さないと、やっぱファイターとして、やっぱダメで、僕自身もそれは納得いってないんで、でもやっぱ、世界チャンピオンに勝つってことは、僕の打撃が世界に通用したっていうことが証明されたんで、だから、それはそれ、クレベルはクレベルで、また別物だと思うんで、でも、やっぱり一番大事なのって、試合に負けたら次勝つまではその期間ずっと敗者のまんまなんで、それがやっぱ本当に嫌で、でも今勝ったんで、次負けるまではずっと勝者なんで、それがやっぱファイターでいる以上一番大事なモチベーションだと思うんで、そこに意味があると思いますね。
So I think those two fights are totally separate. I look at them as a separate thing. This is this and that's that. Obviously, I lost to Kleber. And it's a fight that I need to get my revenge on. I need to redeem myself against Kleber. I need to fight him again to redeem myself. So that's that. And this fight was more of, it proved that my hands can knock out a world champion. I guess that's more of a confirmation of my abilities. And I think that's how I take it. And the most important thing is that I'm riding a win right now. That's like I'm off a win. That's, as a competitor, as a fighter, I think that's one of the most important things that fighters hate to be losing. It's important for your mentality to be on that winning feeling. Nobody wants to be on that losing feeling for a long time. They wanted to be on the winning streak for, the longer the better. So for me, I was able to overcome my losing period with that win. So I'm sitting on a win right now, and until I lose again, I'll be sitting on this win. So that's more important. That's the most important thing that came out of that fight for me.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that, man. And it's like you're in a very kind of unique position now, Chihiro. Like, I think it's a great spot. I think that when you look at what would be next for you, though, it's like there's three pretty clear options, at least in my opinion. I'm curious, what you think or what exactly you do want next, because I look at it as you said, the Kleber rematch right there, obviously one you want to get back, but then it clearly makes sense for you to rematch Pitbull for the Bellator title. But he's, he just had surgery, so he's going to be out for a little bit. But that's something that makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, the new Rizin champion, Vugar Karamov. Like I would say those are the big next logical options for you. But what are you kind of thinking and wanting to do as your next move?
本当にここでパトリシオ選手に勝ったことで、鈴木選手の次っていうものに関してがすごい興味深くなったなと思うんですが、私から見て鈴木選手の次のオプションっていうのは3つあって、まずは、クレベル選手のリマッチが1つ。で、2つが、パトリシオ選手のリマッチをベラトールのタイトルマッチでやっちゃおうじゃないかと。その選択肢が1つ。あとは、新チャンピオンとなった、ブガール・ケラモフ選手。この3つが鈴木選手の今回の勝利によって開いた次の試合の、ドアになると思うんですけど、ご自身ではどういうふうに見てますか？
やっぱ一番すごいいいのは、やっぱピットブル選手との再戦。やっぱお互い急ピッチで準備したんで、結果的に僕が KO で勝ちましたけど、やっぱ納得していない人がすごく多くて、お互い万全の状況だったりだとか、怪我してなかったりだとか、そういう、なんていうんですかね、もやもや感がやっぱりみんな持ってるんで、やっぱピットブル選手が、今の治療から回復して、100% の状態でもう一回ベルトかけてやりたいっていうのはやっぱありますし、でもやっぱライジンがこういうチャンスをくれて大きく世界が変わってるんで、やっぱライジンのベルトを取る、やっぱそれが一番なんていうんですかね、ライジンを背負う形が一番それがベストだと思うんで、そこですごい考えてますね。ピットブル選手もしくはタイトルマッチケラモフ選手とベルトを取らないといけないって思ってるんで、だから、クレベル選手は今は考えてないですね。もっと、練習しなきゃいけないことたくさんあるんで、目の前にせっかくチャンスが来てるなら、ピットブル選手か、ケラモフ選手、この二人どちらかとやりたいですね。
Yeah, so I think the ideal situation would be a rematch against Patricio because, we both didn't have a full camp. It was put together all of a sudden. And, there's still so many people who are saying it's a fluke. There's always so many excuses to be able to make. So regardless of who won that fight, there's always so many excuses that people can make or we can all make. So, ideally, a rematch against Patricio with a proper fight camp would be great. Obviously he's coming off of the surgery, so we'll have to see how that goes and how Bellator goes or whatnot. But ideally that would be great. And in the other hand, I got this opportunity because of Rizin. Rizin opened up all these doors for me, so I think it makes sense for me to go after the Rizin title, which is obviously Vugar Karamov. And I think Rizin gave me this opportunity. I feel obligated to be the face of Rizin. And, if that's the case, it's only normal for me to go after that belt. Kleber can wait. I'm not really in a hurry to fight Kleber. Obviously, there's a lot more things that I can work on before facing him. So, right now, if the opportunity is presented to me, yes, a rematch against Patricio or, a title fight for Rizin against Karamov. That would make sense in my mind.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I think it could line up really kind of cool in a way where obviously, like we said, you have to wait for Pitbull probably for a little bit. It was back surgery, if I'm remembering correctly. So that who knows how long that'll take for him. But in the meantime, let's say, you went and fought Karamov. Who knows, maybe at the Azerbaijan show, that would be really awesome. And then let's say you become champ, and then you'd have a champ versus champ rematch versus Pitbull. Like, would that be perfect timing, you think, if it could play out that way, where you win the Rising title, and then by the time you have it, Pitbull's ready to go again?
私の、最高の妄想のシナリオを共有させていただくとですね、まずは当然ピットブル選手手術から回復するのに時間があるので、ピットブル選手を待っている間は鈴木選手は試合ができないというふうになってしまうので、例えばですけれども、ここで、11月のアゼルバイジャン大会でケラモフ選手とやって、そこで鈴木選手がチャンピオンになって、で、しばらくして待ってる間にパトリシオ選手が復活して、で現役チャンピオン同士が戦うっていうシナリオはいかがでしょう？
最高ですね。一番いいと思います。
That's simply amazing. That would be awesome. That would be ideal.
Yeah, man, there we go. It could line up. I mean, things going pretty well, man. So we'll see how it all shakes out, of course. But I mean, just speaking of the rising champ, Karamov, I wanted to get your thoughts. Like, what did you think of his win over Mikuru? You know, looked great. Finished him pretty quickly, but just what did you make of his performance to become the champion?
ケラモフ選手の話が出たので、ちょっとそこに話したいと思うんですけれども、朝倉選手との試合、タイトルマッチ、ご覧になって、本当に朝倉選手に何もさせずに結構早い段階で勝ったと思うんですが、パフォーマンスを見て鈴木選手はどう思いましたか？
やっぱもう本当にめちゃめちゃ強いな。僕もともと昔から言ってて、ケラモフ選手は絶対チャンピオンになれる選手だなってずっと言ってたんで、やっぱすごい、なんていうんですかね、全局面で圧倒してたなと思うんですけど、でもやっぱ勝負なんで、その日強い人が僕は勝つと思うんで、だから、なんていうんですかね、僕だったら、倒さなきゃいけない、僕だったら倒せる一撃を持ってるんで、世界チャンピオンを倒したように、俺には一発で相手を倒せる力があるんで、そこをちゃんと当て込んで倒したいなと思ってますね。あの試合自体は、ケラモン選手の、なんていうんですかね、全局面で圧倒してたなっていう感じですね。
Yeah, I think Karamov dominated in all aspects. You know, I've been clear and vocal about this, about, Karamov's ability and skills. I've always said that he has the abilities to become a champion, and, look at what happened. As far as the fight, I think it was a one-sided fight. Karamov pretty much didn't let Asakura do anything, and he won like that. So, I think he's a very tough fighter, and he's a very strong fighter. If I were to fight him, it would be a very interesting fight. But the thing is, I now know that my hands can knock out world champions. So I think my focus is going to be about how do I land these hands, and I think everything is off of how it's going to be. All the setups is what I'm going to be working on, and I think if I do my camp right, if I do my setups right, I think I will be able to land my hands against Karamov. So I think I have good chances against him, and if it happens, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely a very fun and exciting matchup to think about. And of course, your striking has always been very good, Chihiro. So I think it's kind of scary to hear that you have this new motivation now, knowing you can knock out all these people, like you're saying. But I mean, I wanted to mention that to you as well. Like, a lot of fans know you for your great kickboxing, and just looking back on things and just where you are right now, still a very young guy, just 24, right? So I'm curious, I don't know the story, Chihiro, but how'd you get into combat sports in the first place, man? Like, how did it all start for you?
鈴木選手は本当に素晴らしい、格闘技キャリアをもうすでに、若いながら24歳で持っているんですが、鈴木選手のちょっとその格闘技に携わるきっかけとなった話とかはまだ聞いてなかったんで、多分海外のファンもそういうの知らない人いると思うので、ちょっと昔の話を聞かせてください。鈴木選手はどういうきっかけで格闘技をやることになったんですか？
小さい時、気づいたら、父親が、空手道場に3歳の時に入れてて、それがきっかけでしたね。多分、僕がやっぱハーフなんで、ハーフはちっちゃい時にやっぱいじめられるんですよね、ほぼほぼ。で、それでやっぱ強い子供でいろってことで、空手を多分やらせたんだと思います。
So I was in the karate dojo before I knew it. My father took me to karate when I was 3. And obviously I'm a half breed. I'm a mixed breed. So when you live in Japan and if you're a mixed breed, you get picked on, you get bullied on a lot. So, I guess my father wanted me to be able to defend myself. So he started having me learn karate at a very young age. So that's initially how I got started.
All right, very cool. Yeah, good to have that self-defense, like you said, especially against the bullies there. You never want to get picked on like that, so got to defend yourself. But, I mean, you've done also, Muay Thai and had some shoot boxing matches and, pretty much everything, Chihiro, and then MMA, obviously. I'm curious, like, what would you say is kind of the most difficult combat sport to compete in that you've competed in?
鈴木選手、その他にも空手やキックボクシング、いろんなもの、シュートボクシングも、ムエタイも、競技経験されていると思うんですが、本当に鈴木選手がやってきた格闘技の中で、これは難しかったとかっていうのってありますか？特別に、これは難しいぞっていう。
特別難しいのは、やっぱり MMA が一番難しくて一番面白いですね。やっぱ、キックボクシングとかだったら、テイクダウンがないんで、思いっきり相手を殴るだけでいいんで、すごい楽なんですよね。MMA だと、やっぱ思いっきり打撃を振ると、そこにテイクダウン合わされたりとか、そういう駆け引きの量が全然違うんで、一番難しいのはやっぱ MMA だなって思います。
I think that MMA is it's the most difficult. It's the most sophisticated and the most interesting combat sport I've ever experienced. And it's the most fun by far. Because when you're fighting kickboxing, you don't really have to worry about a takedown. You don't have to worry about defending a takedown. So all you have to do is just throw haymakers. Just go for the fences, swing for the fences. But in MMA, you always have to worry about a takedown. So you can't really fully load up on your punches because you're going to get taken down. So there's a lot more of thinking. There's a lot more options. It's so much more sophisticated and complicated when you're actually doing it. So I think it's by far more interesting and hard.
Well, speaking of difficulty and sophistication, Chihiro, what was it like fighting Imanari?
難しいとか、いろんな選択肢とかっていう中で、今成選手と試合したときは、おそらく特殊な戦い方になったと思うんですが、実際に今成選手と対峙して試合をするっていう感覚ってどんな感覚ですか？
なんか、なんていうんですかね、もうとにかく、なんかオーラがありましたね、なんていうんですかね、ちょっとでも踏み込んだら、足感取られる、その圧がめちゃめちゃあって、でも対峙するときはもう、同じ人間なんで、思いっきり逃げれば逃げれると思ってたんで、だから取られたらその時、全力で逃げようと思ってやってたんで、そこまで怖さは足換えの恐怖はあったんですけど、でも、抜けれる自信もあったんで、それが格闘技一番面白いところで、そういうハラハラしたりとか、こういう緊張感のある駆け引きがやっぱ格闘技のすごい面白いところなんで、そういった面ではやっぱ面白かったですよね。いい経験になりました。
So when you face Imanari, like he has that weird aura. Like there are certain areas where you cannot step in because you will get submitted. You will get your legs destroyed. So he has that aura when you face him. So it's scary in a way when you think about it. But I also thought that, he is the same human being. He is the same human. And if I fully committed on just running away or just trying to get out of a submission hold, I think I could. If just fully just scrambled or just muscled my way out, if I committed 100% on running, like avoiding the submission, I thought I could. I was pretty confident that I could run away. So I wasn't scared to fight him, but yes, the sense of the what if, the leg lock, yes, it was always there. But that's what makes this sport so great, the thrill and that surreal situation that you put yourself in. It's that's the best part of our sport.
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly. And it's I wanted to ask you about that because, like, I imagine every time for everybody who goes against somebody, especially like Imanari, it's like almost more of a mental fight with yourself than him, actually, right? Like you have to get yourself so ready for everything he could possibly throw at you because he's such a weird guy, right?
まあ本当にこれ他の、試合にもまあ当然言えることなんですが、今成選手みたいなこう特別なこう特殊な相手だったり特殊な技を持っている選手に対して、こうどっちかというともうその選手との戦いというよりかはもう自分自身がそこを一歩踏み出せるか踏み出せないか、前に進めるか進めないかの自分自身との戦いもたくさんあるように思えるんですが、実際にそういうことってあったりしますか？
自分自身の戦い、まあ、そうですね、あったんですけど、やっぱ、結果的に僕はチャンピオンになるんで、チャンピオンになるにあたって、そこはやっぱ避けれない道なんで、仮にチャンピオンになったとして、今成選手が挑戦者で来るかもしれないですし、そうなった時に、いずれ戦う相手なんで、だから別にここで試合受けないとか、そういうなんかノーっていう選択肢はやっぱなかったんで、結果的にいずれ戦う、やっぱチャンピオンになるには誰よりも強くないといけないんで、だから誰にでもやっぱ勝てなきゃいけないんで、そういった意味ではやっぱ、遅かれ早かれやってると思うんで、だからそんな感じの感覚です。
Yeah, so for me, I mean, yes, there is some mental, you have to beat yourself and whatnot, but my mindset is this: I'm going to become a world champion, and I'm committed to that. So, Imanari was an opponent that I would have to face sometime down the line, sooner or later. So, if I have this mentality, if I become a champion, he might show up as a challenger. So my mentality is that whoever I'm going to fight, I'm going to have to face sooner or later. So I can't really be picking fights. I'm not going to turn down fights because I'm going to end up fighting this guy anyways. If I'm the champion, either if I'm the champion or the challenger, or if it's on my way up there, I'm still going to be fighting him. So, that was kind of my mentality. So I didn't really have to just encourage myself to fight Imanari, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I love that, man. You already got that championship mentality for sure when you look at it that way. So on the right track, obviously, Chihiro. But I got to wonder, man, like, if you never got into combat sports, I'm sure it's going to be very difficult for you to think about since, you said when you were just 3 years old in the karate dojo. But, like, if that didn't happen, if you never got involved with combat sports, like, what do you think you'd be doing instead, man?
鈴木選手3歳から空手やってるんで、この質問は非常に難しいかもしれませんが、もし鈴木選手が格闘技やってなかったら、今どんな人生歩んでると思いますか？
もう、これはよく言うんですけど、もうダメ人間ですね。本当に多分、もう不適合者だと思います。本当に格闘技に人生救われてるんで、多分礼儀も人間性も全部格闘技が作ってくれてるんで、格闘技なかったら多分、海外で言うと、スラム街にいるような人だと思いますし、日本で言うと、本当になんか、どうしようもない、気性の荒い、ただのやばいやつになってると思うんで、本当格闘技に救われてる人生なんで、そう思いますね。
Yeah, so I say this all the time, but if I haven't been in, put myself in the combat sports, I'd been a bum, a low life, bottom feeder, bottom scraper, just straight out of the ghetto type, just bottom feeder. That's how I would have been. Martial arts has saved my life. It has taught me everything. It has taught me humanity. It's about respect, and he pretty much taught me everything. That makes me who I am today. So I can't really, honestly, I can't imagine myself without a life without martial arts.
And the good thing is you don't have to, man. You're doing quite well. Not a bum whatsoever. So yeah, no worries there. But in terms of like hobbies, man, and like other interests, is there anything else that you're interested in? Like whether it's other sports or just other activities or anything like that?
鈴木選手って格闘技以外のことにどういったものに時間を費やしたりしてるんですか？趣味だったり他に格闘技以外のことでアクティビティとかってしているんですか？
それは一緒にやってる YouTube の仲間とか学生時代の友達とかと温泉によく行ったりサウナに行ったり、あとドライブがすごい好きなんで、 車でドライブをよくします。
Yeah, I like to hang out with my YouTube team, my buddies from college, and then we hit the hot springs, we go to saunas. You know, I like to personally go out and drive my car a lot, so I like to just jump in my car and go out driving. You know, those are the kind of hobbies I do.
All right, very cool. Yeah, I was gonna say, man, I'm loving the red interior here. The seats are very nice on the car. What do you got right now? What are you sitting in?
鈴木選手のその赤いシートが素晴らしくかっこいいんですが、今何に乗ってるんですか？
ありがとうございます。アウディです。
Driving an Audi.
Oh, okay, very nice. Yeah, living it up, man. So good deal, good deal. It's always nice to have a good car. So it looks like you got a good one there. But all right, Chihiro, I won't keep you too much longer, man. I appreciate it so much. Big congratulations again on the win. It was just awesome, and I'm so excited to see what is next for you. I think the future's obviously very bright. You've already had a great career so far, and there's still so much left to get achieved and all that. So just a big thank you so much for taking the time. Wish you the best of luck and with everything going forward, and hope you get to enjoy and celebrate things as they come and all that good stuff. So big arigato gozaimashita.
鈴木選手、今日はお時間いただいてありがとうございます。本当にまだ24歳っていう若い年なのに、すごいもう格闘技の中心人物になってきて、これからがすごく楽しみな選手なので、これからも体と健康には気をつけて、ぜひともますますの活躍を期待してますので、これからもまたインタビューちょくちょくさせてください。引き続きよろしくお願いします。これからも頑張ってください。
ありがとうございます。もう絶対チャンピオンになるんで、多分ちゃんとベルト取って、今度はベルトがある状態でインタビューしてもらえるぐらいになるんで、楽しみにしてください。ありがとうございます。
Drake, thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for interviewing me. I will become a champion, I promise you right here. And next time, in our next interview, I will have the champion belt on my shoulder, and I'll be able to first one to interview you.
Sounds good, man. That's perfect. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you're the Bellator champ just without the belt right now. You beat the champ, so you're the champion without the belt as far as I'm concerned, man. But next time we'll have it.
今、鈴木選手、自分の中では、今仮にですけども、鈴木選手はもうベラトルの今現在のチャンピオンなので、自分の中では。今ベルトがないだけでチャンピオンなので、次は両方のベルトを持ってインタビューしましょ
う。もちろんです。ありがとうございます。
Alright, of course, Drake. Thank you so much.
All right, Shingo, episode 30, wrapping up. Can you believe it? 30 episodes now. Here we are, community questions for the end of the Big 30. Great episode, as always. I say that every time, I know, but it's because I enjoyed so much. My favorite thing, this show here with you, my man. So let's get into it. We got a lot of them today here for the Big 30. I don't want to say the most we've had, but it's a lot just scrolling over them. So we'll start off with Ghost Phantom with kind of just a little one here, as he is asking, can we get more cool matchups like Kai Asakura versus Yuki Mitoya at a Ryzen Landmark event? I'm sure, of course, these matchups will try to be made, Shingo, but it sounds like he's asking specifically matchups like that one for a Landmark event.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I agree. I know. I think he just really liked that fight. So shout out to Ghost Phantom. So yeah, we've gotten those big fights kind of similar to that one. And Yuki's fought on Landmarks before, hasn't he? So yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see him back. But all right. And that was his only one. So Jay Wolf here bringing us, if PFL buys Bellator, is there still hope for collaboration? And I think we know the answer, Shingo. I mean, you've always said that open to working with anybody. It's just a matter of kind of making things happen. So I would assume, I mean,
You said it perfectly. Our doors are always open.
Yeah. It depends more on the other people, right? And if they're willing to do whatever. So yeah. And that's, again, that's kind of this is a layered question where he's saying, if this happens, we don't even know how all that'll play out with the Bellator rumors, but yeah, always willing to play ball when it's Ryzen. So there you have it.
I mean, when you talk about like collaborations, right? Like it's more of, when you look at it, it's a business decision, right? So it's got to make sense for both parties, and it will not happen if one party is going to get the short end of the stick,
right? Or
one party is going to see financial risks, or if even one party is going to be having a bigger risk than on another, So it sounds super interesting. I mean, easy, but it's not that easy. So the reason why stuff doesn't happen is because both parties don't feel like it's going to be a win-win situation. So these will happen more often if, you'll know when it happens, you'll know that, the promoters were able to come up with a win situation. Everybody's happy. No one's getting screwed over the deal. So,
right.
So I guess that's my answer. If it makes sense, we'll make it happen.
Yeah. All boils down to being a team effort, right? And everybody making it work for everybody. So that's the word, collaboration, right? Working together. So there you go. But all right, thank you for that one, Jay Wolf. As we move on to the MVP, of course, always with the community questions, King CO24 giving us a congratulations on episode 30. Thank you so much, man. You, of course, like I said, the MVP of the questions. So we appreciate you every single time. As he kicks us off for his round here, saying Ryzen recently loaned heavyweight Mikio Ueda over to K1 for a kickboxing match. The new K1 management stated they would start working with Ryzen going forward. How did that conversation start?
I don't know. They started it.
Going back to collaboration, they asked. So,
okay.
Yeah, nothing complex there. So, all right, as we move on here, he says, Super Ryzen 2 had a cage and a ring, which led to the ring apron outside the ring being larger than the normal circular shape. Will that stage be used going forward because it provides more room for fighters when they fall outside the ropes? Good point. I didn't think about that. And it creates more space for sponsors. Interesting question, Shingo. What do you think about the ring size?
Well, actually, the competition diameter inside the ring was smaller than a regular Ryzen ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that flying cage ring was 6 meters inside. The competition from rope to rope inside is 6 meters, and usually the one we use in Ryzen is 6.7. So it's like there's quite a difference there. But we're more focused on the outside part, right? So that there are some pros and cons about that. As far as sponsorship wise, yes, the sponsorship wise, it's much better, much more exposure, and it's easier to locate and see. But as far as competition wise, that platform and television does not go well together, because if we have the sub referees, the sub referee needs to be there to push the athletes. Right. They need to keep the fighters in the ring, and that's the money shot for television, right? So usually when we didn't have that platform, the referees would kind of sneak in from the side. Right? They have to do what they have to do. Obviously the competition is prioritized, right? So they're going to do what they're going to do, and the camera's going to sneak in whatever. They're going to get whatever they can. But because of that platform, the referees couldn't get full leverage because they're up on the platform and they couldn't push.
Right.
Using their feet. Usually they push with their feet and they use their shoulders to keep the fighters inside. But without
it's more of them like just touching, kind of.
They're sitting on the platform and they're just kind of trying to keep them inside, which didn't give them enough leverage, which I'm not going to say that platform led to the confusion, that stoppage of Takizawa and Ota. I'm not going to say that directly led to it, but I could say that it might have been an aspect.
Had some sort of impact.
Some sort of impact, yes. And when I start saying this, people are going to just slam me and say, "Well, just why not do it in the cage?" Touche. But but again, there are certain things that only a ring can provide, and not all of them are negative stuff. I mean, when you talk to, I'm not going to say this, but I mean, there's a lot of other people who prefer fighting in the ring, So, and when you watch a fight in the ring, it is definitely a lot easier to watch. For the spectators, it's definitely spectator friendly. Yeah. It's that for sure is much easier.
Yeah. So that's fascinating, though. I didn't think about kind of what he mentioned there with the extra space. So glad you asked about that, King Seo. That's definitely very interesting to me. As he continues on, he says, due to the Japan and Azerbaijan time difference and having less Japanese fighters on the card, could the November landmark card be broadcast on YouTube like Rizin 43?
That's a possibility, but
nothing set in stone.
we would like to sell a pay-per-view if possible.
Well, the time difference thing is that's an interesting thing to bring up too. I don't know how big is it, Shingo. You've obviously been there.
Azerbaijan is 5 hours behind of Tokyo.
Okay.
So if you do a show at noon that starts at noon in Azerbaijan, it starts at 5 p.m. in Japan.
Okay. Is there is that what you're thinking for the time then?
Yeah,
yeah. All right. Interesting. Yeah. See how that plays out. This is a fun question. I like this one. Wrapping up King Seo's, he asks, how good is Sakakibara's English? Is he writing all his Instagram captions about food, or are you translating them?
I think we lost connection there. Let's move on.
Yeah, don't that didn't come through.
No, I mean, Sakakibara-san speaks good English. He can have a perfectly fine conversation, in English. So yeah, I mean, he speaks perfectly fine. I mean, I'm just gonna say perfect, but he speaks
passable, casual conversation.
He definitely communicate. He can do an interview, a short interview, and yeah, he's good.
Yeah. For sure. So, all right. Thank you for those.
Do you really imagine? Do you really want to believe that Sakakibara's son's sitting there doing this? I don't.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, he's got his own stuff going on. So, all right. Thank you for those, King Seo, as always, sir. As we move on to at Chris Gary 92, he is asking here, with Rizin doing a show in Azerbaijan, could this and talks of the rules at the recent ABC meeting lead to more Rizin shows outside Japan if successful? Well, Chris, I mean, already been working on the Hawaii show, right? So that's just kind of something waiting. You said the arena's going through its kind of renovations right now. So yeah, that was out there before Azerbaijan, really, right? I mean, closer to at least public talks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, well, the original plan of doing fights outside of Japan occurred during COVID, the pandemic, when we couldn't bring in, and Japan was the only country who were dumb enough to keep the borders closed. So we were forced to be able to matchmake with just Japanese talent, which was good to a point. Yeah. But we were at a point where we needed international fighters. We needed the new cards and new key cards. So, but with the given situation, that couldn't happen. So the original main reason why we picked Hawaii was that it was accessible. Mm-hmm. It was right in the middle from both Japan and mainland US. And if we do a show in the United States, at least we can get Horiguchi to come.
Yeah.
Obviously, Horiguchi is a Bellator fighter, so it's not like we're thinking Horiguchi is, but it would give us a reason to ask Bellator, and it would give us a reason to bring fighters to Japan and face, tougher competition, international competition. So we were looking for a location. We weren't really looking to sell tickets to put on a big show, Mm-hmm. So it was more creating it was a way to matchmake and do international matchmaking for Rizin. So it was just one of those reasons. And now that the country has opened up, we have a lot more options to work with. We can bring in international fighters on a regular basis. So,
yep.
But we still, it doesn't mean that we're not interested in why. It's
right. Just the priorities were all over the place, kind of during the crazy time. So, all right, thanks for that one, Chris. His last question here is for Drake. Although Broadened Horizon is exclusive to YouTube and Spotify, any word of being on other platforms? No, I mean, at the moment, I don't really see any reason or any other good spots to expand Broadened Horizon to. I mean, it gets posted obviously on the MMA Mania website. through YouTube embed, and then plus the Spotify link in there too, just for the audio. But I mean, that's kind of all we need, I would say. Of course, it doesn't hurt to go to other places, but those are the big ones. So no plans to kind of add any new platforms. But if you have some recommendations or ideas, Chris, all ears. Obviously, that is more work for me, so YouTube and Spotify is fine for now. But yeah, again, all ears. So thank you for those, sir. As we got some from Ozeki Jim here, as he starting off by asking, what has surprised Shingo the most about his recent trips to Azerbaijan, and what is the biggest challenge going into putting on a Horizon event there? All right, so kind of two layers there.
Biggest surprise going into Azerbaijan. Well, one thing is that, I found out that I was absolutely ignorant, didn't know shit about the country and the people, and it's absolutely amazing. It's mind blowing how much we don't know about other countries.
Mm-hmm.
You assume going in there, you just assume that this is a country that I'm going into,
right?
And you're just shocked. You're just ashamed, embarrassed with your ignorance. And that's how I felt when I went into Azerbaijan, when I went to Baku. It's like they're very great people. I don't know what kind of stereotype I went in there with, but I already knew going in there, because I've dealt with some Azerbaijani before, so I kind of knew what kind of people they are, so I wasn't really worried. But like just going into Baku is such a great, amazing, beautiful city. It was clean. It was such a clean city.
Yeah. And
they actually have people. They have people who work from 6 a.m. sweeping the streets.
Oh.
Yeah, they actually have people who work to do that. It was a very clean city. I was walking alone past midnight by myself. I felt completely safe.
Always good.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very...
and Baku's the capital, right? Okay.
It looked like the crime rate was low. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't see any... I can't really mention any bad things about it.
Yeah.
So that was a surprise. Yeah.
Right.
Surprisingly.
That's good. That's cool. And as for...
the obstacles of putting on the show, I think it's a language barrier.
Mm.
I mean... We could do an event and call it Horizon, right? But doing a Horizon show to Azerbaijan and doing a show in Azerbaijan and calling it Horizon is a different thing. So I think, where do we draw the line where Horizon show is a Horizon show? What defines Horizon? So let's say we go to Hawaii, but we can't use our rules. Right. We have to utilize the unified MMA rules, but still, even if we go fight under unified MMA rules, I think Horizon can represent Horizon as Horizon, even under unified MMA. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What are the characteristics? What are the must aspects for a Horizon show to be a Horizon show? So I think it's all going to come down to that. So it's going to be an MMA show in Azerbaijan. But it's going to be a Horizon show, so they're going to have the Horizon, the flair to it. They're going to have the Horizon feeling. They're going to have the Horizon storytelling to it. So how do we do that? How do we do that at the best? I think it's just communication. We need to communicate well, and the biggest issue is the language barrier. It's not an issue, but it's just a challenge.
Yeah.
But, getting the proper translators, getting the proper communication, and that's all that needs, just communication. We're all professionals. We're professionals over here. They're professionals over in Azerbaijan. If we can communicate well, we're going to come up with a successful show. So I think the language barrier and communication, it's always going to be the number one obstacle.
Yep. Communication is key. That's just something to remember in life, everybody. Trust me. So. All right, and then Jim asking, keen to know, Drake, who your favorite guest or moment has been in Broadened Horizon history. I always love answering these ones, and it actually hasn't changed too much, Shingo. I think kind of since the beginning. I know you and I have talked about it a little bit, and I think we kind of get asked this like every 10 episodes now. I feel like answering it back at 20 as well, but I don't know. The Toma Maisawa one always sticks with me. because it was like right after she retired, and I know I mean, who knows how much English media, American media she did, and I don't know, just something about that moment was really special and sticks out to me. There have been fun guests before, like I really enjoyed Koji. Talking to him was fun. Bobby Olagun, some of those characters. Minowa Man, of course, was special. But I think in terms of favorite guest, like it is insanely hard for me not to say Megumi. I mean, maybe it's because she's been on maybe the most out of everybody, having her on the first episode, the 10th, the 20th, and then now the 30th here. But I just love listening to her and kind of all the knowledge. I think she's like an MMA library is what I call her. And Emi Fujino is another one who's kind of like that I really enjoyed. But I think it's probably got to be Megumi for me. I love my Kanas and my Kanako Muratas as well, but it's tough. That's such a tough question, Jim. But yeah, I think Megumi kind of has to be. She kind of helped start this whole thing. So, we owe her that much. So she can get that award. But I don't know, Shingo, any memories? Well, let's get memory lane from you. Any moments that stand out? I know you loved the Shinashi one in particular.
I was just going to mention that one because that one stands out particularly because I was during quarantine with Musa. And I was out in the middle of Bumble shit, out in the sticks, seeing fireflies out my window, just out in the woods, and stuck there. And then Shinashi just could not figure out how to use his Zoom. It was like 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, right? We had to go.
Before talking.
So that was definitely a memorable for sure.
Yeah, crazy.
Yes, I agree with you. Megumi Fujii-san is always full of wisdom. She's philosophical, very, and the way she approaches this industry, where there are many characters, there are many toxic people that just kind of eat you alive. But she's kind of the opposite person, I would say. She's down to earth.
Yes.
I don't know. She's just very genuine. So.
She just doesn't seem like she's fit for MMA, kind of, like she just is, built different in such a kind of humble, unique way. So that's always just refreshing. It is always like brings me back to like, oh, okay, there are good people in the sport,
That's good. That's good. They're good people.
Yeah, and she is definitely one of them. So, and I want to say I do like talking to the boss man as well, Saki Gabara, just because I always love talking to promoters and kind of getting their thoughts on directions of going things with their promotions. So I'll give him a shout as well as a favorite guest that we've had on here a couple times as well. So yeah, lots to choose from, Jim. So appreciate that question. As funny, I mentioned Saki Gabara because then he says, will Ryzen make a play for the Zuckerberg-Elon fight? Half joking, but you never know with Saki Gabara. I don't think he'll get into that stuff, Shingo. But funny to think about.
There's already somebody else trying to get in, right?
Exactly.
We'll just let him try.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. All right. And then Daniel Zubicki here closing us off. Thank you, Jim, as we move on to Daniel. Starting by saying, Ryzen now has 3 active formats or series. Do you plan to introduce another series of events, or is this currently the final shape of your format? So I'm assuming, he doesn't say right here, but I'm assuming he means the numbered events, Landmark, and then now Super Ryzen. So, I guess thought on that. Any other types? I mean, 3 is a pretty good number, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we might see some kind of a mutant of.
Well, I mean, you kind of mentioned it with the Azerbaijan stuff there.
Yeah, the Azerbaijan's kind of. I mean, it's going to be the landmark event. I don't know. I just, the good thing about it is that we can just do whatever we kind of do whatever we want to do, whatever we feel like. If it makes sense at the time, and if it makes sense. And if it entertains the fans, we will do that. So that's kind of where we sit.
Yeah.
And these titles give us a good reason to put on certain fights. It gives us a good reason an angle to tell the story. So I think Ryzen is more about. It's like I've been saying this recently a lot, but I think Ryzen is more about the storytelling. It's like when you watch these characters fight, how we develop them to tell the story. it's kind of like watching like a television series. It seriously is. Like you're done with the event, the title fights are done. It's like a season's finale. You just can't wait to see what happens next. You know, it's quite amazing that like the how we tell the story is like kind of. I hate to toot my own horn, but it's just really weird. It's just how. I mean, I can keep on going.
No, I agree with you. You're totally right. It is like seasons for sure, and yeah, some crazy stories just always kind of unfolding and molded together. Unlike, I mean, it's I think very clearly unlike anything we see else in anime. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Shigo, like off air, about how like you know, focusing on the losses and at least even mentioning them, like in other promotions where they maybe try to ignore it in their promotional tactics or strategies. I shouldn't say tactics. That sounds kind of maybe different, but you know, showing all sides of the emotions, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just in our most recent episode of Rising Confessions, we forced our #1 star to watch the fight where he got beat.
Yeah,
and we asked for comments, you know, and that's the highlight of that show, you know, that episode of Mikuru Asakura looking back at his fight and you know talking about the future, and that's the highlight. So what's next? What's next for Asakura? What's next for Karamov? You know, the story keeps on going, and I think why are we being able to tell this story so deeply is because we don't have enormous amount of events. I think that's one working out in a way where we get to focus on the characters more and solely the story, because a lot of times we focus on a Grand Prix, right? The Grand Prix itself is the story. So we focus on it and we can tell the story. But when we don't have the Grand Prix, like during the COVID times, we had to tell the story because we had to focus on the Japanese fighters. And, you know, the lack of events that we have compared to others is working out well because we can tell the story in a lot deeper depth. That's just my, you know, take on it. Maybe I was high.
Maybe a combo. It was both. But yeah, no, I mean, I say that all the time too, is like it makes you want more and you get more excited because everything is so oversaturated now, specifically talking UFC where it's like every single week and you're like, all right. And clearly, I mean, it's not even a debate or argument anymore, but like events are watered down because they're all the time, and it is what it is. Like this isn't something groundbreaking that I'm saying, but yeah, when you space it out kind of the way you do, gives room for the story and builds the anticipation through the story where you're like, all right, let's fucking go. I can't wait. Rising time, you know? So
yeah, that's why it doesn't matter if the character wins or loses.
Right.
The story will go on even if the fighter loses. So if you focus on that part, you get to see a lot more drama. And if you put things together at the end, I mean, you know, when you follow Chihiro Suzuki's story, it's a perfect example on how you do stuff. Like he's off getting knocked out by Shoji, crying out.
I know, I forgot all about that.
Entrance, he came in
20 seconds.
As the knockout champion, coming in, guns blazing, he got knocked the fuck out by Shoji, you know? So when you focus on Suzuki's story, he's got one hell of a story.
Yeah. My goodness. Seriously. So yeah, that's a fantastic example, especially recently. So, man, get knocked out by the ghost of Shoji. Yeah, that was wild. So quite the turnaround from him, but so much story, so much history already, Daniel. So appreciate getting us a little off track there, but all good, worked out. That's what we love to do. But all right, he then continues on asking about the ABC press conference where they were discussing Rise and Rule Set. Is there any bigger chance to use the full rules in Hawaii next year because of that?
No, I wouldn't say. I would say no.
Yeah.
Our chances of being able to utilize the Rise and Rule sets, like we didn't go in there. Well, we didn't go in there trying to promote what we do is good. You know, we just went in and say, hey, this is what we do, and this is what. So we're not, and you know, we even said they're saying that we know it's not for everybody.
You're not trying to sell them,
right?
Yeah,
right. Because you know, Mike Mazzulli, the ABC director of board director, he just wanted me to go in there to start a discussion. Like he's all about unified MMA rules.
Mm-hmm.
He never said that, oh, I'm going to allow you to do Rising rules in my state. No, he never said that. Steve Foster came up to me and said, we would love to have you here in California under unified MMA rules. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, good to know.
We're okay. I mean, we're totally fine with it. And there are certain states and commissions who were interested in catering to the rules that the promoter wants to do, as long as they're okay with it, like if it's safe or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain states that are okay or open-minded about MMA not being under MMA unified MMA rules. There are certain states like that, and there are certain states where like, oh, that's absolute crap. We should all stick to unified MMA rules. But we just went in there and say, hey, let's work for us. And we just said that how we deal with all the the perceptions. Soccer ball kicks. Well, why do we call them soccer ball kicks? Maybe we just call them ground kicks.
Yeah.
Because when you say soccer ball kicks, that's an immediate relation to it's like a penalty kick,
right?
When you say that to like somebody who has absolutely no affiliation with MMA or combat sports, like you allow people to soccer.
Yeah.
That's a bad impression. Nobody is gonna get punted in the face like a penalty kick in MMA, and if they do, the fight should have been stopped, or the fighter should be in there to begin with. Like you've never seen those. Like you've seen Rising long enough. You've never seen a single soccer ball kick KO like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And if a soccer ball kick occurs, it's the split of the moment, so you only get like 3 inches to pull back.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't get that full
motion.
You never get that. And if you do, that will never end. That will never land. So the perception of soccer ball kicks of what everybody is getting, you never get that in an actual fight. So maybe we shouldn't call it soccer ball kick.
That's a great point.
This is not soccer ball kicking.
Yeah.
We're just you tap them in the face with your shin. You're never gonna get a full wind up kick.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So grounded kicks.
But unless you're Roger Huerta in that one fight. Well, he got kicked.
Here's the thing, so that's more on the referee's end.
Yes.
Because basically a fighter should never get kicked in the face. Like never get kicked in the face like a soccer ball kick.
Yeah.
If a fighter gets kicked like that, the fight should end no matter what. So it's a great indication. So when our referees are in JMOC, they're already aware. So when you see soccer ball kick finishes, they're never KOs. They are all TKOs. It's used as an indication to stop a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley fight. Okay, Mark Carter, where's the indication? I think he did a great job. I personally,
I thought it was perfect.
From a promoter's point of view, I could have let Aljo do a little more, but the fact that he turned the other way, that was the indication.
Yep.
That was totally fine. But just because we have our Ryzen rules, because soccer ball kicks exist, or the grounded kicks rules exist, our referees, the JMOC referees, are way more on top of stuff. They know, they are debating and waiting for that right moment. And the soccer ball kick, they'll make sure that does not land clean. And if it does, it was done anyways, and they were already in the motion of getting stopped in the fight. So either way, there's no way we can probably talk the ABC to allowing our Ryzen rules. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we can say that what we are doing is not what you all think. We can defend it, but we're not. So and we're okay. We're not going to go in the U.S. saying, "Oh, it must be Ryzen rules." We're not going to do that. We will ask and say no. Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe we will keep trying. It won't hurt to try.
Yeah.
But like I said, there are certain states who are already interested. Maybe we can bring in Ryzen under Ryzen rules in these certain states.
Colorado's all game for everything, it seems like.
I mean, it was very interesting to go in there to start a discussion.
Mm-hmm. Just conversing. So yeah, that is such an amazing point, though. I never thought about it that way. Like, it's just a perception of the name, really. You never see a full-on, wind up.
Yeah, whoever came up
fucked it up for everybody.
they probably didn't like it, or they're just. I think anything. I had a debate. I think it came from Japan. The soccer ball kick.
Well, had to, right around Pride time.
Yeah.
Well, how do we fix this?
It's called ground kick.
Yeah, exactly. Kicks on the ground. Sounds way different. Because if you think about it, like the knees on the ground might arguably be more dangerous than a quote unquote soccer kick, right? I mean,
you're not gonna get any force from a soccer ball unless you fully just go out there
right,
and punch.
And maybe like timing, position, just of how things happen.
Mobilize dead bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, that is crazy though. Very interesting. Yeah.
And it's understandable. And it's for politics too. It understands. Kicking somebody in the face on the ground, it just does not sound right.
Yeah.
But kicking somebody in the face while standing also doesn't sound right either.
No. Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, that's closer to a soccer kick, like a head kick. Then you're getting the full range there.
I mean, we can go on and on. Like, it's a 12 to
Seriously.
6. We went in there. We want to say we have no angles limitations. We are okay for fighters to do 12 to 6. We are okay with that. Just,
yeah.
Just everything was, to create a discussion, to start a conversation.
Right.
So it was a great experience. I think I'm glad we did it, and I think it worked out greatly for everybody.
Yeah. Well, that is good to hear. But yeah, now I'm going to be thinking about that all night. So, we'll see where it can go in the future, but not going to hold the breath. So, all right, thank you, Daniel. As I about to wrap us up here with just a couple more, as he's asking, do you consider any other foreign? Have you considered any other foreign locations for future events outside of Hawaii/US and Azerbaijan? I'm going to assume probably not too seriously, all things considered. We talked about already.
And I mean, if the capital's there, we can probably do a show anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Somebody do anywhere, but I mean, it just gotta make sense.
Right.
We could probably do it if we wanted to, but why do it? So I think there needs to be good reason behind doing it. Like this Azerbaijan. So, if it makes sense, again, if it makes sense, we will do it.
How about this, Shingo? I'm going to turn it on you then. In complete fantasy world where you can do whatever you want, just as a fan having the choice, where would you want to bring Ryzen? It's a complete fantasy world without any issues, all just perfectly. Where would you want to go?
I think United States would be great.
Yeah. Just anywhere? No specific spot?
Yeah,
MSG, get crazy? Go to New York?
I think the West Coast would appreciate it more, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I would prefer that. Bring it to Vegas. That'd be fun.
Yes, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I started my career in Southern California.
So right, that's true.
For me to bring back, Ryzen in Southern California.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saboba Casino.
There we go. Yeah, bring it there.
Saboba Casino.
That would be funny.
Everybody fighting on that card will be banned from.
Yeah, exactly. Bring Sean Strickland over. Oh, that's great. All right, last ones here from Daniel. He's asking, how big will merchandising points be in Azerbaijan? That's interesting.
What do you mean by points?
I'm assuming maybe this means I don't know, merchandise.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we're gonna have two teams designing, teams in Azerbaijan and teams in Japan designing merchandise. So I don't know. Merchandise is more definitely something I am not involved in.
Right.
So
most likely going to be similar to what you do just over there. Yeah. All right. And then last thing to wrap us up here on episode 30. My goodness, that was a good deal, but we appreciate all you guys so much. He is asking New Year's Eve, one event or two events, or maybe one co-promoted and one main like in 2019.
That's still yet to be decided. There's so many. Oh boy, there are so many moving parts in action right now, and we're not sure what we can land. And depending on what we land, what lands, or we might have two events, one event, we might have I don't know, and I just you can kind of read through my reactions.
Man, I didn't even think about that till he mentioned it because it feels like it's been so long since that kind of thing, you know?
Two events?
Yeah. But
yeah, when was the last time we did 2 days?
Well, he mentions 2019 here, which was the Bellator one, right? Back-to-back days with Bellator.
That was Bellator midday. We had a concert, and then we did Full Intention. No, Coldwell.
Yeah.
And that was his intention one. Yeah, that was stressful.
Yeah, so it's been a minute, but all right. Well, we'll see how things fall into place.
Back-to-back events, it's a lot. It's a lot of
chaos. Yeah, that's a party. You think one event's crazy. Try back-to-back days.
It takes away the fun out of operating an event entirely.
Yeah.
Because usually you're like, oh, the event's done. Oh, that was great work. What a great show. Okay, it's time to relax. But
we have another.
You can't even think about how the fights. Can't even look back. It's just another. It just becomes strictly another routine job.
Yeah.
So it takes.
Well, that's when you have to do the weigh-ins on a fight day too. So all that crazy stuff, yeah, overlapping, but.
Yeah, and on fight day, you have to worry about sending some fighters back home. So.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Operational. Yeah, it's an operational nightmare.
Yeah, but got to do what you got to do sometimes, I guess. So.
We've done it. So.
Yeah. But all right, on that note, we will conclude episode 30. My goodness, thank you guys so much. Really brought out a bunch for us to talk about here on this 30th episode. I don't even know how many guests that is, Shingo, but we have had a whole bunch by this point, and we will keep on chugging along as 2023 carries on here into the fourth quarter coming up shortly. What, next month, I guess technically would be that, right? September, so just next week. So as Rizin 44 looms as well, that will be September 23rd, as I got the calendar up here. Looking forward to that one. And what we have 8 fights at the moment, right, Shingo? How many more can we expect before we get out of here?
What, for September?
Yes. How big the card will be?
I don't know. We'll have 1, 2, 3, maybe 3, 4 more fights to add for September. We have a full lineup ready. We're gonna be announcing. I think Sakakibara is gonna be announcing during his talk show tomorrow.
Oh, so, all right. All right, so those will have been revealed by the time that you guys are watching this. But regardless, we appreciate you all the same. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you enjoy, remember to like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Tune in to MMAnia.com. Tune in to Rizin's YouTube channel and check out all the events. And Rizin 44 coming up, as mentioned there, we will have another episode here, right? Episode 31 of Broadened Horizin coming out before then. That is the plan anyway, so stay tuned for that. And until then, you guys, thank you so much, and keep on keeping on. We will see you next time.